evening, and welcome to ELOSOFUMARTAKES. This is our 361st take, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studio of Azle, Texas. I'm your host, Barry Duplessis, as always, and I'm so proud, so pleased, and so privileged to be with you all tonight. This is going to be a fantastic show. We're all back from PCA. We're well rested, and we are ready to kick off the official second half of whatever calendar year this is. 2026, of course. But, you know, PCA kind of marks as the beginning, the end. It's everything, right? It is the pinnacle of the premium cigar industry. It's the Super Bowl. We're going to talk more about that. We've got some great shows coming up this week, and it's all starting tonight with the 361st take of ELOSOFUMARTAKES with my good friend and guest that I'll get to formal introductions in just a moment. But before we get to introductions, we do have to thank the people that make this show possible. That, of course, is our sponsors. And tonight's show is brought to you by Drew Estate. Drew Estate has announced the Undercrown El Tigre Dominicano. Since its birth of the factory floor, Undercrown has always represented the spirit of the underdog. This newest extension to the Undercrown line sees this familiar underdog spirit extend past Nicaragua to the fields of the Dominican Republic to create an Undercrown unlike any before. Undercrown El Tigre Dominicano is defining a new chapter for the Undercrown brand, one deeply rooted in the DR. For the first time, Undercrown embraces a Dominican filler forward expression with the elegant and rich Dominican fillers tobaccos in its full, beautiful spotlight. At the core of El Tigre is a beautiful pairing of Dominican HVA and C98 leaves, tobacco selected specifically for their balance, structure, and, of course, their aromatic depth. Together, they build a layered, expressive base of flavors easily enjoyed by any fan of premium cigars. Check out the latest and greatest from Drew Estate. It is the Undercrown El Tigre Dominicano. Check out your Drew Diplomat retailer today and smoke the latest chapter of Undercrown. And if you're tuning in to us on any video platform, including tonight's video broadcast, live on Facebook Live, we do almost every Sunday night at 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. Tonight's video broadcast is courtesy of Foundation Cigars. Nick Melillo is a well-known cigar maker in the premium cigar industry. He is the founder and owner of Foundation Cigar Company, which produces a range of high-quality, handcrafted cigars. His values include quality, consistency, balance, and flavor. Check out FoundationCigars.com today. And if you are tuning in to us later, wherever you tune in for audio broadcasts, whether that be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts, be sure you download, subscribe, and review. The audio broadcast is always courtesy of our good friends at Gran Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. Thanks to our good friends at Gran Habano. And welcome, everybody. This is our 361st take. We are fresh from the PCA trade show in New Orleans, Louisiana. And it is my distinct pleasure to welcome tonight's guest, which is brought to you by United Cigar. Smoke one today and start living united. It's Mr. Will Cooper of Cigar Coop and the head of Cigar Coop Coalition. Coop, how are we doing tonight?
What's going on, Bear? I know we're supposed to have Trip here tonight. And you know, one thing that happens is sometimes the slightest thing could affect a show. And Trip's under the weather, but it's, you know, basically when you can't smoke or taste stuff, it becomes a problem sometimes. So yeah. So we pivot. That's why we have a team, and I'm excited to be Trip's pinch hitter tonight, which is an honor because he did such amazing work, that guy. So this year, it really does. So yeah, so I'm honored to pinch hit for him tonight.
Absolutely,
and we pivoted a bit too. So
we did. So we're still gonna get down on the PCA food show. That is gonna be a goal of mine. We're gonna get Trip on. We're gonna talk about all the things. Now we're gonna talk a little food tonight. We're gonna talk a little cigars. We're gonna talk a little bit about it. But the whole theme for tonight, if you guys caught the ad, is one vibe. Okay, and the whole kicker is we're gonna Coop and I love to do lists. The cigar industry loves doing lists, and lists are great. But not tonight. We're going to do one hit only, one selection for each question presented. That is going to be the thing. We're calling this thing the one vibe of PCA New Orleans, and I'm so excited. This is going to be fantastic.
I am too. It's going to be a lot of fun, for sure. And The food show. I'm glad you and Trip are going. I actually volunteered to pinch hit for the food show, but I think there's some things that Trip did that I didn't do that would really, if I pinch hit it, there'd be a missing component to that show. So you guys do need to do that show together. I agree.
So here's what I want to do, Coop. Before we get into New Orleans, before we get into PCA, we're going to do two things. We're going to do the usual business. We're going
Yep.
to talk cigars here for a second. We're going to light. We're going to cut. We're going to
Right.
light up, and we're going to set the tone for what the project is for this show.
Yeah.
And then I want to talk. I want to talk something that's near and dear to our hearts. I want to talk a little bit of Kentucky Derby because
Yes.
the greatest 2 minutes in sports took place yesterday, and it was a barn burner. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a
Absolutely.
second.
Absolutely. It never disappoints at Kentucky Derby, and there's a reason why. We'll get into that.
So here's the lay of the land, ladies and gentlemen. What we're doing tonight is we're going to look. We smoked a lot of great cigars, and normally that's just patter for effect. But I have to honestly say, Coop, listen, this was my eighth trade show. This was your 16th, right? Not well, 15th, not counting the COVID, right? So um,
Uh, it's 16th.
it was 16th, right?
It was
Okay,
2010, missing the COVID year. Yeah. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. So and then So now, with all those trade shows and everything, I don't want to speak for you, but for me, in the eight trade shows I've been to, this was now we can, we can never judge by trade show samples and everything like that. But I have to say, and climate plays a middle in that, the summer in Vegas, like all that stuff, like everything. But I have to say, for me personally, like no teasers here, like this was one of the most prolific, best cigar tasting trade shows. Actually,
What
it was the best. It was the best cigar tasting trade show that I have ever been to. More bangers that were coming out of this show. This is really exciting for the premium cigar industry.
I would say, I said that for the first time since 2013, right? Which is a long time. So it's in your era. Absolutely, it's the best. There was some. I wrote in my recap article today about this, right? That it was a big year, but there was so many things that happened. Like first, there was the deeming regulations, so we got the stealth cigar garbage that came through, right? And then after that, we had the pandemic, right? And the pandemic basically threw production off, and there were all these like alternate factories and alternate shifts that were happening. So the quality suffered. And then I think the industry had when he moved it to spring, things got rushed a little more. So we kind of have come out of all that. And what we had is we had a show, like I said, the cigars were incredible. They really were. And I'm not, most of the time we've been coming into these shows and, we were having trouble coming up with five cigars that were good, right? This time it wasn't the case. It was the
Yeah,
opposite problem we had.
yeah. And
Loomis,
there,
by the way, disagrees about this.
well,
I'm going to leave the list when
par
it
for the course.
publishes. You'll
Well,
see what I'm
that's what I
talking
was
about.
gonna say. We're teeing up our top five post game picks.
You're
We
on
always
mute.
do. Okay,
Are you there?
I'm here.
I lost Bear.
That's
Bear,
not good.
I definitely cannot hear you.
You can definitely not hear me.
I definitely cannot hear Bear. Let me see if I can hear him on the computer. Bear,
Uh,
say something.
I'm trying to say something. Please tell me you can hear me on the audio.
Well, no, I think it's me, Bear.
Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
my thing.
Well,
Hang on a
while
second.
while while Coop's figuring that out, listen, there is a fantastic article that's going to be coming out this week. We do a pre-PCA trade show top five picks. Okay, the Cigar Coop Coalition, a couple of guest panelists come on, pick their top five cigars that they think will be the most impactful on the trade show and in the industry at large, going into the trade show. At the
Yep.
end of the trade show, we always pick the five again. Now, now that sometimes cigars from our pre-show top five make the top five, sometimes they don't. For me personally, I feel like last year in particular, like I went in with the set number. We came out. I think it was kind of, even though five isn't an even number, but it was also even Stevens. I came out with a few surprises, and then but it was mostly, it was kind of like chalk a little bit. This year, I'm pretty jazzed about
Yeah.
all my most of my top five. Not to tease it too much, but most of my top five caught me off guard, and I'm really excited about it. So,
Yeah.
and I'm excited about everyone's list. I haven't seen anybody else's list. I've been working on mine. I owe it to Coop. I'm gonna get off the show tonight, early in the morning,
He
and
already
get it
missed the
over to him.
deadline at midnight. I'm back. Yeah, it was my
What?
mic. Something went off with it.
No
So
problem. Is it
yeah,
midnight May 3rd or was it midnight May 2nd?
midnight May 3rd. Midnight May, actually 11:59 p.m. May 3rd. So
Okay, so
yeah.
we just got to end the show early. I need to jump on my other computer, copy and paste it, and good to go. So,
It's just yeah, no, and like I said, it yeah. And when I lost my mic, like I said, the one guy who I think had trouble coming up with 5 cigars was Loomis, but he did find a couple he liked.
that's good. That's good. Well, I'm
The-
I, I'm stoked. I'm stoked to see everybody's list, including Aaron's.
yeah.
And look, this we're gonna get into everything. We have a great show lined up for Tuesday to talk all things in. But tonight is one vibe, and we're picking for our cigars. I have a selection of cigars for Coop to choose
So do
from.
I. Yep.
These are cigars that I did not smoke yet. I have not
Yeah.
had yet that I got from the trade show. So I'm excited about all these. And who knows? I might be making some edits to my list tonight before I
You
send them
never
over
know.
to Coop.
Same
So
here. Same here. By the way. Yeah. So it is allowed.
editor's discretion. Coop can
Yep.
come in
Yep.
and do that too.
Yep.
So, all right, Coop. Well, let's get things started. I have 4 cigars for you to pick from. Okay.
Okay.
I think you'll be excited about 2 of them. They're larger gauge, so I'll just kick them off with
All
it.
right.
I have the latest from the Las Seis Provincias series from Espinosa Cigars. I have the MIA
Hmm.
honoring the family's time in their Herald City, hometown city of Miami.
Right.
And then I have the I had the Maduro, but this is the natural of the Pariah, number 39, Pariah from Kevin Baxter
That's the
and
Connecticut.
Daniel Lentz.
That
This
is
is the
the.
Connecticut. This is the
Yep.
Connecticut. This is the
Yep.
Connecticut. So,
Yep.
and I had the other one. I have not had this one yet. And big gauge cigar. Look at that, big gauge, box pressed. Here we go.
Uh huh.
And then I have 2 selections from Davidoff. Okay. Now the first one is the one that you wanted me to try, and I didn't get a chance to, but I I didn't get a chance to yet, but I have one here, and you might pick it tonight. I have the Davidoff Puro Dominicano Perfecto,
Uh huh.
and then of course, from our good friend Tom, I have the Zeno Honduras as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
what cigar am I starting off with tonight, Coop?
Well, you have to smoke the Dominicano because if you smoke that, I think it's the one. They're all really good selections, by the way. There's not, but I think that one could have an impact on your on the list. So I'm gonna throw the monkey wrench in on that.
Oh shit, making me think. Okay, right
Now
off the
I
bat.
have smoked several of those, so I'm gonna hold my opinion till. But I think you already know what my opinion is, and so I'm gonna. But I have smoked the Perfecto actually recently, so yes,
Okay,
I smoked the Corona Gorda and the Perfecto.
okay, fantastic. What do you got, Coop?
All right, so Bear in your I actually have 6 you can pick from.
Wow,
Uh,
you really went bear on me.
I
Like
went Bear
usually,
today. Yeah,
yeah,
I went
yeah.
Bear today. All right, so the first one I have is the Casio #1 from Frank Casio, our friend Frank Casio, who's now started his own cigar brand.
Yeah, the man behind Foreign Affairs
Yep.
started
Yeah.
his own.
Great guy, by the way. Frank's an awesome guy, by the way. And I really, by the way, that cigar, it's just so classic in packaging. I'm excited for him on that. From our friend at Black Label Trading Company, the Macabre.
Oh yes.
All
Okay.
right. From our friends at Christoph, the PCA exclusive, which I am allowed to smoke because I still smoke PCA exclusives. I also have the Pariah, the Connecticut.
Okay.
I have the Warhead 12 because we are Vitola based here, Bear. So we don't discriminate just because it's a new size doesn't mean it's not a new cigar. We are Vitola based, as you know.
Yep.
And finally, in spite of Justin Andrews, who's I'm hearing more and more about these cigars with Nemish. The El Rey del Mundo appointment, Brazil. And despite the fact that Justin Andrews decided that, he gave the cigars to Nimish and didn't want to go pick them up over at Drago's, for us, So, yeah. So, 6 choices. Casio, Macabre, Christoph PCA exclusive, Warhead 12, Pariah, Connecticut, and the El Rey del Mundo appointment.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you two because I think you're gonna get to at
Yeah,
least two
yeah,
tonight,
okay,
and if you don't, that's fine. But we're gonna kick things off. Let's kick things off with the first cigar that you chose, the Casio.
okay.
Um, I really liked hearing Frank's description about it. He said that it was very classic flavors to him, what a cigar smoking experience should be like. I'm really interested to get your thoughts on that and how that kind of lines
Uh,
up with like
yeah,
your palate.
oh no, it's awesome. You know what's funny? I thought I smoked this cigar and I didn't. There's another cigar that had a maroon pen that that so I, things go around a blur sometimes. But no, I did not smoke the Casio number one. And I'm really excited for Frank. I spent some time. I know you guys didn't get over to the booth with me because we were multitasking, but I'm really glad we got to see Frank. He's an awesome guy.
Yeah,
So and it's just a beautiful,
gonna
beautiful cigar. This number one. Look at this. Yeah.
I love it. It's really
Yeah.
it's got that kind of Times New Roman font, just very classic,
Yeah.
all caps with his
Yeah.
last name on it. I love that he's brand like he's putting his name on something, putting himself out there
Yeah. Yeah.
in just a really really cool way. Former guest of the show. We'll try to
Yeah.
have
No,
him
we
back
talked
on
about
this.
your appearance actually when we were there.
Uh,
Um.
he's so
Yeah.
much fun. He's a
Yeah. He's
he's a
so
cool
much.
dude.
And this is a little different. Like he is Foreign Affair. He did that with Luciano, right? And he's still doing these cigars with Luciano. But the company, from what I understand, is not part of Constella Group. From what I understand, it's a standalone company he's got.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he's making his cigars with Luciano, and he said Luciano is someone who has been a mentor to him. But I'm excited about this. So yeah, that's my first one. Yeah, you said you're gonna pick my second one too.
You're gonna do the appointment Brazil.
Okay, so I got to pick a second one for you then. So we had the Zeno Honduras, right?
Yeah, the Pariah and the Las Sens Provincias.
You got to do the Las Tres Provincias as your
Okay,
second one.
cool.
Now, if you feel you're gonna rush that second one, pick another. But I have smoked the Seis Provincias. The bad news is when I talk to Hector, that's going to be the last one of the Espinosas to come out, and it's later this year. But it will be worth the wait. So, yep,
Fantastic. Well,
yep,
I'm going to go ahead and light up my Puro Dominicano, and I'm using, of course, my ST DuPont monogram lighter from ST DuPont. Beautiful mahogany brick facing on that beautiful Chinese lacquer, and it's just a stellar piece of machinery, if you can even call it that. It's a beautiful piece of art. I've had it for a while. It is the Biggie lighter, so it's still that flat flame. And I'm going to go ahead and toast the Perfecto foot just a little bit. You don't need to do too much on Perfectos. And really interested to see how this Biggie lighter really handles this smaller foot with the Puro Dominicano. So I'm going to go ahead and toast it, let that aroma kind of dance around here for a minute and see what I can get off of it, and then
yeah.
enjoy this cigar. So, uh,
I'm going to use my big tabletop lighter, which has the dual flame, the soft flame, and the jet flame. And because I think this is a classic cigar, I'm going to go with the soft flame
nice,
and do it. And it's a very sturdy soft flame, by the way.
nice. All right. Well, Coop, while you're lighting that up, the yesterday afternoon, um, a little bit later than post time. Post time was posted at 5:57 Central, for the 152nd running of the Kentucky Derby. It got a little bit late start because unfortunately there was a last second scratch. Great White, who was a gorgeous, beautiful thoroughbred, reared up, kicked his jockey off of him, and fell backwards. The poor thing. And luckily, it seems like the horse got checked out later. It was okay, but it was able to run off on his own power. But unfortunately, it had to
Yeah,
be a last second scratch. That horse was so gorgeous, Coop. I
I
knew that
know.
horse wasn't going to win, but that horse was massive. I wanted to see that horse run 2.5 hands higher than any other thoroughbred in the lineup yesterday. It was a massive horse. That thing was massive, and it was crazy. I was so disappointed for him. And this jockey was a first time entry for the jockey, so the jockey still hasn't run in his first Kentucky Derby. I mean, just talk about tragic on so many fronts.
You know, so it's kind of I felt bad, right? Because I wasn't watching the pre-race stuff this year, right? Because the Phillies were on, the Flyers and Sixers were getting ready. It was a big sports day for me, right? So I tuned the TV on at like 6:55, and as I'm like, what is it with the Kentucky Derby every year? Why does it start later and later every year, right? It used to start 4:30, right?
Yeah.
It's been going, and I'm like, here we go again. Now that push, this thing's gonna be 7:30. I'm like yelling at NBC. I'm like, and then I found this out, which was I felt bad. I'm like, okay, they had a legitimate reason this time. It wasn't like they needed to go to the Johnny Weir and a dress scene like they were doing some. And I have no problem if Johnny Weir wants to wear a dress; that's his choice. But they seem like the pre-race focuses nothing on this but fashion now lately.
Well,
So
the pre-race, it just seems like they keep adding pundits, more personalities and
that's
stuff.
too much. It's too much. And NBC, I think, right now of the networks is doing the best sports, in my opinion. But that pre-race show is just it's too over. They have to fix of all their sports. NBC's pre-race show for the Kentucky Derby is unwatchable, in my opinion.
Well, I think they made some really cool improvements this year.
And in
They
fairness, I
actually
didn't watch it this year, so I'll hear what you have to say. Yeah.
it was the cool. I've never seen this view before. So in the paddock right before Riders Up, they've always broadcasted the Riders Up. They always make a big deal about it. It's part of the pomp and circumstance. But before that, when they're marched into the paddock, there's actually paddock stables. So, okay, so they have
Yeah.
the primary stables where the horses are housed, and then they bring them out from there, and then they trot them out and they put them in the paddock, and then you see the post parade, you know, around the whole track. Which is part of the tradition annually and stuff like that. But this was the first year that they got actually inside the paddock stables, and they had a reporter. Forgive me, I forgot his name. Going around looking at each horse, and it got a little bit closer than we're ever used to seeing it. And he got to talk to a couple of trainers, a couple of jockeys, including the another first time trainer and jockey for Robusta, um, who was like 73 to 1 shot, wasn't going to win. But I was really excited that he spotlighted that particular jockey, who was also his first Derby. He got to run it. Uh, didn't do well. You can look at the final standings, but he did about as well as you could what his odds were telling. So I think he did an impressive showing and stuff. Um, and I if you watch the eventual winners track on down the stretch, which we'll talk about here in a second, the way that the eventual winner, overtook Robusta on the back end of the backstretch, it was clear that that other horse was just not going anywhere.
Right.
Like it was going to
Right.
stay
Right.
right where it was. And when it saw the eventual winner pass by him, like it just there was no urgency whatsoever, unfortunately, left in that horse. And but hey, there's got to be a winner and there's got to be a losers. Speaking of the pundits, though, someone yesterday was Donna Brothers. Donna Brothers. This was her 26th Kentucky Derby as part of this pregame, you know, um, pomp and circumstance. I'll keep using that term.
Right.
She's been a part of NBC's broadcast for all this time. For 26 years, she's been a part of it, and she's had various roles, and um, you know, she's an enthusiast. One would call her almost an expert in everything.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
and I got to be honest, because they always go around and they do their picks, and the list gets longer every year because they keep adding cast
I
members
know.
to this. But I was really surprised. I was really surprised. She was the only one of the pundits that actually picked the winner. And I was really surprised when she did. I just, it was sort of, they turned it to her. Mike Tirico did a great job. He said, "Hey, please give us your last selection, your last Kentucky Derby selection covering the Kentucky Derby," and made a big deal about it. And she was, um, professional as always. And she picked the winner, which was, of course, Golden Tempo,
Yeah.
24 to 1.
But someone did at least. I mean, I always had my pre-race call with Jack Tarano, who is really good at picking these trifectas. By the way, probably has one of the best records. He missed it completely this year, and honestly, I can't get on his. I mean, this was a tough race to prognosticate beforehand. Um, and to kind of pick this one, I mean that was a pick out of I got to give her credit. She knows Donna Brothers knows her stuff. She's been in the sport a long time. I would say that Charles C. Canty is probably the other woman in horse racing journalism that I have a lot of respect for also. But yeah, I mean Donna Brothers, who she's gonna be missed.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about this was a really deep field. There were three scratches before the day even
Yeah,
started. There was another scratch earlier in the day, and then the last second scratch of Great White. And it was still 18 horses deep. I mean, and there were some really, really great horses in this race. I predicted correctly that Renegade really got screwed by getting put in the first position. Poor
it
fucking
happened.
horse.
That's part of it's part of that's the luck or unluck of
The
the draw.
luck of the draw exactly. And but I had my eye on Chief Wallaby, who actually did really good.
Jack was high on Chief Wallaby, I could tell you that.
I liked Further Ado, and I liked Emerging Markets. And
There
Emerging
was
Market
no
actually made a nice, really like had a nice first turn, and then just kind of not faded, but just kind of hung right where it was.
yeah. I- i-
And
If Renegade wasn't at one, this would have been Renegade. I mean, in my opinion, this would have been a very easy pick. Renegade would have been an overwhelming favorite in this race.
yeah,
Renegade would have been the favorite. I mean, it was very
I
uh
I really didn't understand the money on So Happy. I've seen that horse race.
I didn't understand it either. I agree 100%.
I mean I think the horse is a good horse. Yeah, one would even
Yep.
say a great horse, depending on your definition
Yep.
of it. But I could not understand why the money was floating so much
Yeah.
to So Happy. Especially with some of these other horses. The track was clean. It wasn't really big. It had been raining the week before, but they cleaned it up pretty good. It was good. It was good dirt. It was a good track. There wasn't too much mud. We've seen some pretty sick mud runs over the last few years. Um, and hats off to the Ortiz brothers finishing 1 and 2 in the Derby. I mean, and especially
Yeah. Yeah.
Uccelli, who was another long shot to win.
You want to talk about long shot? That was the long shot of the race. Maybe 6 speed was the other, but I mean, actually, I mean, yeah, I don't know where I had never really heard of a Shelley before this race.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so
it was
yeah,
really funny during the post parade. Frankie and the kids and I are watching, right? And 6 speed comes across, and Frankie's like, God, that horse looks beautiful, and it is. It's a beautiful horse. But she was like, it's tiny. I was like, yeah, that horse has no shot.
yeah,
And I said, but watch for Great White. This is before the scratch. And you could just see the difference on TV, like how big Great White was compared to how small 6 speed was.
yeah,
And when 6 speed held the lead for I would say a little bit over half the race, and I was like, just wait, this horse is going to fade. Like he just does not have the engine. I knew that that was going to happen, but it still ran a very respectable race against some very impressive horses. And so I have to give it to 6 speed for the race that it ran. But I mean, what a derby, man! What a
yeah. It
derby!
was it. When you get the one thing about the Kentucky Derby, it is a 20 horse race most of the time, right? Which I think is a lot of the lure of that race. While the Belmont's usually less than 10 horses, right? Because it's a that's a marathon. But this one, in my opinion, you get 20 horses. Most of them are world class horses that you get in there. So I think a lot of it is the traffic and kind of going through the traffic. And you see these horses make these, and Renegade and Golden Tempo made some tremendous runs in through
Yeah,
that traffic, which was amazing. Ironically, Golden Tempo though was from the outside. I think the Golden Tempo was at the 19th spot.
Yeah, well, from last all the way to first, and entirely on the backstretch, Coop. Like
Yeah.
and and
Gronkowski
from
used to run a lot like that. Gronkowski would be last for about half the race, and then Gronkowski had such a kick in the end. Yeah,
it was unbelievable. So I still go back to 2000 and 2012. I'll have another was probably I picked that horse to win that year, so there's a lot of bias there, but
yeah,
um that head-to-head matchup on the backstretch against
yeah,
Bodemeister, um, in both the Derby and then later in the
yeah,
Preakness a couple weeks later, uh, are still one of my all-time favorite derbies. But you also have to
yeah,
keep in mind the Golden Tempo going from last to
yeah,
first is really reminiscent of Mind That Bird, who was the
yeah.
longest of long shots and did
Long
the
shot.
same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I wanted to ask you, Coop, from those three derbies, 2009, Mind That Bird, 2013, I'll have another, and then 2026 of Golden Tempo. I know it's fresh and you probably haven't rewatched Golden Tempo as much, but out of those three races, what do you think was the most exciting for you to watch?
Oh, I'm not just saying it because it was the most recent one. This was the most exciting one of those three. Because I mean, it was just there was so much going on. There wasn't an overwhelming favorite in this race. It was a neck finish, right? It was really a close finish with there were three within one lane. I mean, it was to me, this was everything that you want in a derby. You want that kick at the end. It gave me everything I want, and that's really high because I think those two races you talk about are incredible races. By the way,
Yeah, it
I,
was
I
just
kind of came out and a Aselli coming out of nowhere with this thing too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Ocelli got second until the official results
I
came
did
in.
too. I did. Now, the bad news is this is kind of like March Madness. When you get these long shots finishing the trifecta, it means you're not going to get a Triple Crown winner, right? So that's what sucks about this, right? And I think there'll be three different winners in the races this year. Someone else will win the Preakness, and then I think that Renegade wins the Belmont if Renegade goes to the Belmont. So,
I think you're absolutely right, Coop.
yeah,
I think Renegade is built for a
the Renegade may
marathon.
skip. I can even see Renegade skipping the Preakness.
Yeah, you know the one that you need to watch out for if they bring back for no this is going to be crazy talk here in a second, but the one that I think that you need to watch out for in the Belmont because I think he's built for a longer race. Um, he didn't have an impressive showing yesterday. He finished middle of the pack, but Wonder Dean,
Wonder
uh,
Dean, yes, yeah.
that horse has that horse has some staying power, and I feel like if this was the Belmont. If you watched if you watched Wonder Dean at all, who was kind of unimpressive throughout of it, but it was just a really strong, steady pace. And there was a slow gain there at the end. I think he came from about the 12th position to finish eighth overall or something. If this race had been the Belmont, I think Wonder Dean wins
Yeah.
because I think those other horses, I mean, Renegade might be the
Yeah.
exception right there, but the rest of them, Acelli's going to fade at the end. Incredibolt's going to fade. And I just don't think that Golden Tempo has the gas to do that marathon. But you know what? It just makes the Preakness that much more exciting here in a couple
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah. The one of the scratched horses, I think the one that had the shot to maybe make the trifecta was the Puma.
Yeah, that was.
Uh, I don't know if the Puma was going to race the other races. It was swelling, they said, which sometimes it's, you don't know how serious that is with a horse. Um, and so yeah, I think, like I said, unfortunately, I think we're going to get three different winners. But there is a silver lining sometimes when you get the three different winners. It sets up an incredible Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah,
If they
absolutely.
all go to the Breeders' Cup Classic, you're going to get a hell of a Breeders' Cup Classic. So that's the other part that makes it a little more intriguing.
I didn't hear about the swelling on the Puma until later. Like that.
I think Jack was leaning towards the Puma. And Jack, if you're listening, correct me if I'm wrong. And I think then he found out it was scratched that morning. He was
Mhm.
scratched that morning.
Yeah, I liked the Puma coming in. It was probably going to be part of my superfecta. pick, if not part
Yeah,
of my trifecta. But and then there's the scratch. I thought with that kind of a scratch, before I heard about the swelling, I thought it might have been a violation
yeah,
of some kind.
yeah.
So
You,
you get those mysterious last minute scratches are kind of, what's
yeah.
going on?
The legend John Cooper, my dad, was a big horse racing guy. Big horse racing guy. And really got into it, like originally got into it for gambling, but got out of it, became a horse racing fan. Just Bear at the beginning of 1977, and I remember this vividly. He said Seattle Slew was going to be the next Secretariat.
I remember
That's how
you.
good he thought. He saw Seattle Slew at Aqueduct or one of these races, and he said, "This is the greatest horse I've seen next to Secretariat." And he was right. I mean, Seattle Slew won a Triple Crown that year. And then my dad was talking about a guy by the name of Steve Cawthon, this kid jockey, and he said this guy's gonna be the next big jockey. And Steve Cawthon wins the Triple Crown with Affirmed,
Yeah.
right? And then he called the year after that Spectacular Bid wouldn't win the Triple Crown. So my dad really did. He had a sense when it came to horse racing. He just knew it. And it
That's
wasn't
awesome.
about the betting with him after a while. It was more about he just loved to watch the horses, my dad.
I love this time of year every year, Coop, because we get to talk about your dad and how he was such a horse racing fan. I remember
Yeah,
your story about Seattle Slew,
yeah.
and it always remember. I remember.
Oh, I guess I did tell that story a couple times. Yeah, but
No, it's good. No, my dad called Thunder Gulch, when Thunder Gulch won, but the year that Cigar, the horse named Cigar, if you remember, I think it was the
Cigar was a horse that got better later in his career.
yeah.
He was a post
Uh,
4 year racer. That Cigar.
yeah, that horse, that horse was incredible to watch. And later, yeah,
Oh
like you
my,
said, as you got older and everything, um, the one horse that I couldn't understand, and I don't know, and I just could not understand how it won the Derby, and it went on to win the Preakness, and it ended up getting upset in the Belmont, and so it was foiled in its triple crown pursuit was Futsaichi Pegasus. Do you remember this
yeah.
horse?
Oh yeah,
And I was like, man, how the fuck is this horse winning? And because it was like the field was just really impressive that
yeah,
year too.
yeah,
And even the Preakness, which is sometimes like the Preakness varies. Like there's ebbs and flows. Sometimes it's a larger field, sometimes it's smaller. And this was a particularly large field that year. And I was like, how the fuck is this horse fight? Because to me, that horse, if you want to compare it to a horse in this year's field of the Derby, reminded me a lot of Six Speed. It was smaller, faster, leaner, and I get it.
yeah,
Like, hey, if you're faster than everybody, it doesn't fucking matter how big you are. So, um, and that's what it proved to be as winning in both the Derby and the Preakness. But man, that
yeah.
horse defied expectation for me, and I I candidly lost a lot of money that year. Um,
That was but that was a favorite that year. Fukushima was one of the rare favorites to win the Kentucky Derby.
yeah,
Kent Disimo had a great ride that year. Aptitude was a legitimate, that was a good race, I thought.
yeah.
Um,
But how about Mike Smith racing yesterday? And he would have, had he had won, he would have been the oldest jockey to ever win, 59 years old. How
I
about
was
Mike
talking,
Smith?
yeah, we were talking about this. I was talking about this, I think, with Jack as well. That was kind of interesting. Yeah, I think when a jockey is 50, the 50-year-old jockey can still win, but 59, from going to 50 to 59 for a jockey is a big difference, actually. Yeah, that would have been a nice thing to see. That would have, like I said, I was kind of disappointed. I would have, I always root for the old guy. Um, yeah, so,
Well,
but yeah, so
he's from
happy.
he's from like Dexter, New Mexico, which look, I grew up next to New Mexico, and I thought I knew every fucking small town in the state of the land of enchantment, and I'm not even sure where the hell that is. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm looking it up right now
By the
because
way, yeah, it was, yeah. Um, yeah,
population of 1,200 people, by the way. Thank you very much.
it's not far from El Paso, right?
And
I
that's
think I've
pretty
heard of
that's
that.
pretty fucking sad because I lived right there.
Yeah, it's not far from Las Cruces, but I want to say
It's
it's in the
oh, it's be,
south.
it's between Artesia and Roswell.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's like southeast kind of, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And the only reason I knew that is there was something I remember with Mike Smith and I think Las Cruces came up. So I'm
Yeah.
not Dexter by Dexter with no means on my radar. I just remember that.
Well, my dad used to talk about Mike. This is how old Mike Smith is. My dad used to talk about Mike Smith because he used to go out to Sunland Park and watch him
Yeah,
jockey. And he was that he would run at Sunland Park quite a bit because it was right there. So
yeah,
that's how old Mike Smith is. And my dad remembers when Mike Smith was young. So
yeah,
um and watched him race. So like that's dating him and everything. So anyway, great race, unbelievable. Go back and watch the replay if you missed it. And if you don't like horse racing, fuck you because it's amazing.
yeah, yeah. And we got a Preakness race, which won't be in Pimlico this year, actually, which is disappointing.
Yeah, it's so
But
weird.
I was talking to Lee before you guys got to Cuban Crafters, and yeah, there's a lot going on with that right now. And I hope Pimlico has the race back at some point. I think they will. I mean, the plan is yes, but some people think it may not happen. So
That would be crazy.
yeah,
Um, are they still going to call it the race for the Black Eyed Seasons?
I believe so.
Okay, because that would be a
Yeah,
double
I don't
question
believe.
mark.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll change that.
All right.
I mean, because they're redoing Pimlico, so they're moving to Laurel Park, which is in Laurel. So it's just outside of Baltimore. And look, I've been to the Preakness, I've been to the Belmont, I haven't been to the Kentucky Derby. The Preakness, in my opinion, is the best of the three. Competitively, it's the best three race usually. Um, so the
Re-
Belmont is a marathon, is what I say. It's
as much as I love it, I've still never been to the Derby. The plan was to go to the
I,
150th.
you and I have talked about possibly doing a Derby trip. And if you want to take the boys at some point, and, I'll take one of my boys who are older, but we could do something like that. I mean, I think it would be great. We've talked about this for as long as I know you too.
Yeah. Well, the
Um,
plan was to go to 150, and there was complications. So,
yeah, yeah,
um,
no, I get that. So
so
if life happens, yeah,
one of these days. But I've been to the Preakness. I've been to Pimlico. That was fantastic. Really need to get to the Belmont too. That's going to be something that I'll get done before my time is up on this earth. So,
yeah.
but hey, let's dive in. One vibe, right? One vibe, New
But
Orleans PCA. Let's dive into tonight's major point. This was a long introduction, so thanks for
we had
hanging
to
in there,
talk. We
everybody.
had to talk Derby because we're not gonna be able to do it with Trip. I'm just saying.
You'll be like, yay, sports. All right, tonight's major point
Yeah,
is brought to you by Gran Habano Cigars from the fertile lands of Honduras. George Rico and his family have put together the very best vintages for you. Yes, you, the cigar smoker. From value-based hits like Corojo Number 5 to the award-winning 20th anniversary to special projects like Zulu Zulu, Gran Habano is about cultivating the best and making pinnacle cigars for the market. Culture, tradition, quality, premium handcrafted. That's right. It's Gran Habano Cigars. All right, Coop. So like we've said, we're already smoking our cigars, the ones we haven't tried yet. We're gonna get our thoughts here after a couple of these questions. Um, and uh we're gonna go into a couple of these one vibe questions. So let's go ahead and kick things off.
yeah.
So everyone has been reading the heck out of your food reviews. So let's start with the food, okay, before we
Uh huh.
dive into the cigars.
Right.
Okay. We ate at a couple new places this time. We went back to a couple of places that we had been to before. Thanks, Ben Lee. But what was the one restaurant you are glad we went to and why?
Sizers.
Sizers?
Sizers. Am I saying that right? Sizers.
Yeah.
The crawfish place.
The crawfish place? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Without
So,
question. Without
okay.
question. And that's not a knock on it. That place was an enfant find incredible.
Yeah.
You and I shared that crawfish boil, which was like massive. And we
Yeah.
devoured through that. That was, and we took the $50 Uber ride out there, right? And everything, right? That was incredible. Like I will never go to New Orleans again and not go to that place.
It was it was absolutely unbelievable.
I don't know if we'll ever get Loomis to go out there. Is the problem, right? Because Loomis took one for the team that day to go.
Totally dead.
He
Totally
did.
dead.
He did. He did.
almost no non-seafood on the menu.
It's all shellfish and everything. Yeah,
It's pretty much,
yeah.
yeah.
He did. He did.
And listen, I gotta hand it to Aaron. And I said it a couple of times on the trip, but like I gotta hand it to Aaron. Like seafood's not his thing. And when I say
No,
not his
he
thing,
is a good he is a good sport. And
he doesn't eat anything from the ocean. Like if it's in the water, like he doesn't eat it. Like straight up, like we've even joked
like a shrimp. He won't eat a shrimp even. Yeah,
shrimp. Like we've asked about alligator. We've asked about all this. Like no, like just no. And so it's like all right. But in New Orleans, not eating seafood is problematic.
yeah.
Um, and bless his heart, and what a dude. Like what a dude. We were all about all this other stuff, and he came and to each of these restaurants, and that we'll get into with on the show with Trip and everything, and really just really took one for the team and stuff. So
Yeah.
it was fantastic. Um, for me, the restaurant that I'm glad we went to was I was really glad we got to go back to Coop's place. Um,
Yeah, that's always well, that's mandatory, obviously, because of the name. But yeah, that was a very interesting. Like the night they had no, we had to pay cash and everything. It was very fun that night.
so yeah, so they could only take cash. So we go in, we go. I mean, this place, like when I describe this place to people, I don't think I can even do it justice. Picture the diviest of dive places that you've ever been
Yep,
to and
yep,
multiply that by 10, and you're
right.
probably in the area of Coop's place. Now, like this place has a bathroom that's literally outside. Okay,
Yes,
just want to point that out. All the chairs are wobbly, all the tables are wobbly, the floors are uneven.
the
Um,
wait staff is pretty animated.
yeah, animated,
She was
abrasive.
great. Our waitress was great, but don't cross her. Is what I was just saying.
Yeah, definitely. And but probably some of the best fried chicken
Oh
you
my
will
God,
ever
yeah.
try.
And their
Unbelievable.
jambalaya was the best.
And
It gave me the sweats. It was so good.
yeah, the jambalaya, they make it with rabbit, so
Yep, it's amazing. Yeah,
good
what they
stuff
do.
there. But to me, it's really classic. We ate at some great places, and we're going to cover that with Trip and everything. So, but
Yeah,
going back to Ciders for a second, and the big platter that we just drove through. What's really interesting about it, there was a mountain of food. Don't get me wrong, and
right.
like you're not going to leave hungry. But what I will say about here's the thing about crawfish boils or shrimp boils or anything like that too. It's kind of like sushi. Like you're going to eat a shit ton of food. You're not going to leave hungry, but you're not going to leave miserable.
No, no, absolutely not. You're not gonna. Your stomach's not gonna be hurting you. The only thing it was more of it was more of a marathon. Cracking open all those claws and everything, and the claws fish. That's just more of a. It's more. I mean, of course, we got the extra sausage and stuff with it, which is yeah. But yeah, it was. I agree with you on that. It was, and we because we still went to dinner with Justin that night.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was glad Justin was late because actually it kind of gave me a couple extra hours to kind of because we had a late we went there about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The sizes.
Yeah. So, and we'll talk about Two Jacks, which is where Justin took us, and that was a cool experience as
Yeah, I
well.
think you guys will do a whole thing on that as well with the whole turtle soup running out of turtle soup and stuff. But that was a great place. I had been there before years ago, so that's a great place.
Awesome. Well, let's go moving into this next one. So, here we go. Um, so let's go back. Let's dive into the PCA. Okay, so the
Yep.
trade show floor just as impressive as last year. A lot of vendors that had returned. Not as many new vendors, but I mean, how do you top 70 new vendors from last year?
Yeah.
Um, and we took a different approach, which we're going to cover on Tuesday, and you've been covering in the recaps and stuff like
Yep.
that. But let me ask this: what is the one booth you're glad that we actually got to go to? Like you're glad we hit it.
It was late and we almost missed it, but it was Toscano.
Yeah.
And that's not and the reason is because had we missed Toscano, we would have missed a lot. There's the limoncello cigar.
Mhm.
There's the coffee in the amaretto with Mike. There's just a camaraderie that we did we did. I don't think we shot video in the booth, did we?
No.
If we shot, yeah, it wasn't about shooting video. It was about, and there were a lot of reasons why we didn't shoot a video, which I won't get into, and that's nothing bad. It's just it wasn't the right time probably for Mike, but and folks may see what's happened on social media, but I think had we missed that, we would have missed a lot.
Hmm.
That's my feeling. That was a very good experience we had, and I'm glad we got to that booth. And that was one that we were up against the gun because we went Monday afternoon to that booth. It wasn't even like Monday morning. We went, I think, an hour before the show closed.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
Definitely a well-deserved break. And it was really great. It was really funny. When we were at the Toscana booth, like I looked over at the display for the limoncellos, and I looked in the bottle of limoncello, and right before I swear to God, I was about to say it too. I was like, Mike, is that? And then he got distracted for a second, and then he came back to the conversation, and he was like, you know what's funny about that bottle of limoncello? We were running low on limoncello, so I took an empty bottle of limoncello and I filled it with Gatorade for the display. And I was like, I knew that was Gatorade. God damn it, I knew it was Gatorade. What the fuck? Um, because I was like, that does not look like limoncello. I was like, man, it could be the lighting, but that does not look like limoncello. I was like, swear to God, it was
yeah,
Gatorade, and like, man, I almost said it, and I, like, no, it just looks like I'm following him. But way to be him. Good job, Mike. Thinking on your
yeah,
feet and
yeah,
making sure that everybody that did come by your booth got to sample some limoncello. And
yeah.
then, of course, we got the Amaretto and coffee, which just is fucking clutch
Which
every time.
went with the limoncello cigar.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. Like I said, and I go back. Had we missed that booth, it would have greatly changed a lot of things for us at the show this year. That's
100%.
why I think that was the one booth. I'm glad we got to it. For sure. That's not a
Oh,
knock on any other booth, by the way. We had some great experiences booth, but that one in particular, that limoncello cigar, which was amazing,
yeah.
and just the experience of, we've been trying to do some more team building and relationship stuff with manufacturers, and that we didn't get rushed with Mike, which was really good with that.
Yeah, Toscana is one of the booths that in previous years, last year, and I would even say the previous year were kind of the exceptions. We'd kind of made that one of our booths that we kind of stopped and took our time with. We kind of took an
We
Italian
kind of
approach to it,
have, yeah.
but the last 2 years it felt kind of rushed. So it was kind of cool to get back to that.
Yeah, there was one year
And
we
really,
missed Toscano. Well, no, we didn't. We missed Mike because he had the baby. The
yeah,
baby came. Remember, the baby came in June, so he wasn't at the show that year. It came in like late June, the baby, and that was still a July show at the
he
time.
came. We just missed him. He came for a little
Right,
bit, but
right.
he
He
got picked
came,
up.
but he was on a very tight schedule with little. It's Angelo, I believe, his son, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Uh, I had talked to Mike before the trade show on the virtual thing, and I really had a great discussion with him on his political campaign. And I know you did that as well. But that was the first time I got to talk to him, and I'm going to just say, politics aside, that guy was an example of how a political campaign should be run. Really, you could agree with his politics or disagree with his politics, but you can't disagree with the way he conducted that campaign with class, dignity, and not a lot of money. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So
really good. I actually said to him, I'm sad you lost, but I'm glad you're still with Toscano. If that makes sense.
yeah,
Because
same
yeah, we
here.
would because that would have been a full time job. He told me if he had won. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, the one thing and I said this on his show too, so I'm not disclosing anything that was said not publicly.
yeah,
This is why you got to hand it to a person like Mike. He wanted, uh, and he really believes in his community, and he
yeah.
really believed in the spirit of what his campaign should have been. Because
That's
I asked him
yeah.
straight up. I said, what can I do to help? And I said, I would, and I didn't know about rules or anything like that, but I was approaching him, so it was a little bit different. But I was like, hey, where can I donate a little bit of money? It wasn't going to be impactful money, but I wanted to
Yeah,
give him
yeah,
something. It is a gesture,
yeah,
my belief in him and,
yeah.
my
Sure.
rooting for him. And he wouldn't take it.
That's the kind of guy he is. That's the ethical, and another guy I think who's very ethical in the business too is Todd Johnson, by the way, who runs a very ethical campaign in North Carolina,
Uh-huh.
for state senate, and he's in the state senate. But yeah, Mike is what I was amazed with, you talked about the community spirit thing. Mike was very much a town hall, talk to the people type of guy, which was so impressive. It kind of was, as much as I hate politics today on Facebook, the Mike Capolini politics is the politics that I love to see. And by the
Hmm.
way, I probably didn't agree on I probably won't agree on a lot of issues with Mike. There's some I do, but you can't argue the way he ran that game. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
That's what makes some of the. That's what I miss with politics today. So he will. I think he will have a voice one day in some sort of a political office. By the way,
Oh,
so
I totally believe it, man.
and I hope he does. Yeah, I
It'll
hope
be
he's with
sad.
Toscano all the time. Yeah.
It'll be sad for I was gonna say it'll be sad for the cigar industry, but he's
Yeah.
gonna hold some flip
And
flops
apparently
one day.
Toscano was very supportive of him with this, and that says a
Yeah,
lot to them as a company too, by the way.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it was a great visit with him. I think that was the one I was glad.
So for me, the one booth I'm glad we hit for similar reasons. We did get some video there too, but we had a very long and
I know which one you're
wonderfully
talking about.
rewarding sit down with Tom Lazuka,
That's another one, yeah.
Asylum Sealy. Now, um, Tom's a friend of the show and the Father's Day show that we do every year and stuff, and it's absolutely fantastic. But there was so
He gave
much
us a lot of time, Tom,
he
and they were
did.
busy, by the way, and they were really busy that day. So it wasn't like he
Yeah.
was blowing us all. Yeah,
And that's one thing. And two, like there was so much going on there that even if we had done like a traditional like a video that we've done in the past where we had gone through everything, we would have missed a lot of the nuance.
yes,
Like there was a lot of I think there were a lot of questions around the Asylum Arabian Nights. Like, what's this all about? Trip to
yeah,
Morocco, we don't quite understand.
yeah,
And he kind of walked us through the whole thing, the whole process
yeah,
and hats off, by the way, to Christian and his and Tom and their marketing people because that fucking logo is off the fucking charts. It's so awesome
so
and so
yeah,
cool. And what a cool concept. You know, one of the things that I don't think Christian gets enough credit for, and Tom is certainly of the same ilk. They make a great team. The one thing that I don't think those two guys get enough credit for is their creativity and their they're kind of always thinking outside the box.
yeah,
Think about the fucking split personality. Like banana split cigar, like are you fucking kidding?
yeah,
Like the gigantic cigar,
megalophobia.
the megalophobia that we smoked. And I know I'm talking about Asylum products, but like, this a lot of this is, like the Arabian Nights was, Tom gave 99.99999% of the credit to Christian, and I believe it. Like that this was kind of his
Yeah,
thing, and
yeah,
and um, y- man, they just don't get enough credit. Like
they don't.
always think outside the
They
box. It's something different. It's something like really like you're always kind of like it's almost kind of like half cocked eyebrow. Like really, like that's gonna and it fucking some work. A lot of them do. Some don't.
yeah, some don't.
But man, he's always thinking differently, and he does not get enough credit for that.
Let me give you an idea how busy this booth was. Okay, we were in the booth. Half Wheel was in the booth. Savona was in the booth at the same time, as well as a slew of retailers. One of the retailers, which I didn't really point out to you guys, but I kind of got to see him, was Larry Holmes Jr., the son of Larry Holmes, who now has a lounge in Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I've heard he's
He
in the
was there.
business.
So this is how busy the booth was, and Tom gave us a lot of time. Um, and I felt so respected by Tom because he could have easily got up and said, "I need to deal with this." And he thought, and there was a lot of reasons why he spent time with us too. Not because I think it was just he understood why we were there and everything. So that was a great visit. There's no question. I have to pick one. I'm glad you picked that one because that would have been the other one I picked for sure.
Yeah, there was just so much going on. There's the Arabian Nights, of course, the Tom Lazuka's Silent
Yeah,
Signature series, and just
Santiago is cigar.
yeah,
Uh,
I mean, just there was a lot, and
And yeah, there was a lot. The Aroa Dark's coming back.
yeah, God,
So
such a good cigar. Holy shit, so
yeah,
good.
it really was. But it's being reblended, and they're doing a lot with innovation right now. They're doing a lot with Colombian tobacco. There's Pinot Reno seed. So they're differentiating themselves a lot. And I noticed that Christian's starting to just not be the Corojo guy anymore. Um, which his family's known for. This Pinot Reno and this Colombian tobacco, and it's really their I don't want to say they're betting the farm on it, but it's still a big move they're making right now.
Yeah, yeah,
And I've
complete.
smoked the Pinot Reno with the Asylum Sensorium. That was on my list a couple years ago. Great cigar.
Yeah, it's a fantastic cigar.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
kind of under
Which
not
the Tom
undervalued,
Wazuka cigar was derived from, by the way.
underrated.
It
Sorry,
was the
underrated.
alternate blend. It was the alternate blend.
That's right.
Was and I think they went with a little more premium cigars. Why at the time they went with the Sensorium, but good that Tom and we're going to talk a lot about Tom's cigar on Tuesday. But yeah, that was because we all love that cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So awesome. So those are the two booths that we were glad we had.
yeah,
So let's take a quick break. Let's talk about cigars, and then let's break for our first fun segment of the
yeah,
evening.
yep.
So Coop, I am smoking the Puro Dominicano, and I gotta hand it to you, my friend. Listen, um, look, I'm a very eclectic smoker.
Right.
Um, and you know, Coop and I disagree on some cigars. We agree on a lot of cigars, but it's I even though Coop's really good at picking my top 10 at the end of each year, or he's pretty darn close and he knows cigars that are in the running, and stuff like that, it seems like for the most part, a lot of times I do throw you for a loop every now and then.
Yeah,
How the podium will finish out and lay out. Um, it
yeah.
kind
The
of, it
Tot
kind
one a
of,
couple years ago threw me for a loop because you were just so low key on it. That
yeah.
was, and there's nothing wrong with that. You were entitled. You have every right to be low key. So, but yeah,
But what I will say, which is what I'll say is really impressive, is that despite all that, you really do like when you say, "Hey, you're gonna love this cigar."
yeah.
I don't think you've ever missed.
No, I
Like, I don't
haven't.
think you've ever missed when you said, Bear, you are going to absolutely love this
Yeah.
cigar. And you did it again, my friend. This cigar is right on my palate. There's some amazing minerality to it. I love that. I think that's probably
Yeah,
why you picked up on it.
it's
There's
good
a
minerality. It's not that bad tasting minerality you get sometimes.
who's gonna love this cigar if they've smoked it is Tony Bellotto. Tony
Yeah,
Tony no Tony
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Yeah,
Tony is known for, Tony and Caldwell, they went back and forth. They were old school Dominican guys. Tony was always the Fuente guy, and Robert was always the Davidoff guy. But the reason I think this cigar will speak to Tony's palate, and speaks to mine, is it's very reminiscent, has a lot of similar characteristics to my former number one cigar, the winner, La Barba Ricochet Crew Mexi Soul. Um, there's just this gorgeous minerality to it. There's a beautiful earthiness. It has just the perfect amount of slight sweetness that just really kind of rounds it out. Um, I'm not a fan of perfectos, overall. Like,
yeah.
and typically this was a daring pick by Coop, and this was daring of Davidoff to send me perfectos, because I've been on the record that the torpedoes, trompetas, bellicosos, figurados, perfectos that Davidoff produces typically, even though I might like the blend,
Yeah,
they typically fall short for me. And this is probably the very first figurado that Davidoff makes that I enjoy. And this is a hit, man. This is very good.
I think the
And
Corona is even better. That's how good that is.
so
I think yeah, and
kudos
that
to you,
was
my
good.
friend.
I have yeah. No, thanks. Like I said, I knew you got. Like I said, I think I smoked the Corona Gorda the night before PCA in Biloxi. Um, and because I was with some of the Davidoff people at Ben's cigar shop, which they were but Paul was kind enough to let me in that night, and some of the Davidoff reps were gathered there, and they gave me one of those, and I'm like, why? And that was a Corona Gorda. So the Perfecto is excellent. And I'm just saying the Corona Gorda I thought was even better, but that Perfecto stands on its own as well. I had the Perfecto last Sunday.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Coop, how's the Casio treating you?
Oh my goodness, two words: flavor bomb. This is an absolute flavor bomb. I like this a lot better than Foreign Affair, and I'm not knocking Foreign Affair, which had some good. This may be one of the best Ecuadorian Corojo cigars I've had
Oh wow.
in a while.
Okay.
It's a really good cigar. It's got a nice sweetness. It's really well balanced, right? Um, I'm definitely picking up the Palo de Oro in this too, so it's not a mild cigar. This is one of the best cigars I've had out of Luciano too. This is I don't know if it's going to make the top five because it's so competitive, that top five, right? And I'm gonna have to evaluate this afterwards for sure. Um, but it's a shame if this doesn't make my top five.
Yeah.
This is Frank's got a winner here. It's a $22 cigar, and I thought the price point was high. This smokes like a $22 cigar.
That's
The
awesome.
packaging's great, but the cigar is exceptional right now.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
yeah, like I said, great job by Frank. Great job by Frank. I wish him the best of luck because I think this could be a winner for him. And he can, and if this is the beginning of Casio cigars, I can't wait to see what number two is going to be like. You know,
Right.
this
Yeah,
is really good, Bear. You would like this cigar as well.
that's fantastic.
And
Well,
normally
hey,
I'm not an Ecuadorian Corojo guy. That's the
right.
thing. I normally don't like the Ecuadorian Corojo. This is fantastic right now.
Well, it's funny, we in our show before we went to PCA, I had you on my show and we were talking about kind of we brought the Now or Never segment onto us. And I'm gonna call it, man. I said it, I said, Luciano needed to,
But
you
this
know,
isn't Luciano, though. Keep that in mind. It's separate.
I understand, yeah, but I really wanted him to
I,
come back with a
I think the
banger like
maker. I think the
Murillo
maker did
Chia.
good for him too. I think he had a good show, Luciano.
Yeah, heard good things about the maker and and you know, I'm really really excited to smoke that cigar and I'm excited to
Yeah.
look. The guy knows how to blend
The guy knows tobacco. You can't. I know
yeah,
he has his critics out there, but he knows tobacco, and he did right by Frank here.
yeah. And so I mean, I'm stoked. I mean, I was already stoked, but I'm super excited now.
Yeah, and
Um,
Frank's a good guy too, and he's a guy you root for. I want to get him back on a show with us at some point. I'm excited for him on. I mean, this is really a good cigar.
isn't it
Uh,
nice when here's the thing, Coop, like going back to like, all the years that we've covered the trade show and all the years that you've covered
yeah,
cigars and myself too. Like, isn't it great when people you root for kind of like really come through?
yeah,
Because there's people you root for
yeah,
and for whatever reason they fall flat or it doesn't
yeah,
work out and it's just like, God bless, that's disappointing.
yeah.
But
Foreign Affair wasn't my blend either. It just wasn't my profile, but it was a good cigar. I'm not just.
very
It just
size
wasn't my.
specific for me. Very size
Yeah, it
specific.
was. It just wasn't my profile though. Was the problem. Uh, it was a cigar just not made for me, but it's a cigar I know that people. It's a very good cigar. But sometimes it's me. It's not the cigar,
You
as
know,
Dave Burke would say.
Frank was one of the I was so fascinated by him and his story. I really wanted to get him on the show. And I kind of broke my own rule. And you know what that rule is, Coop, that if I'm look, I'm not afraid of asking tough questions and I'm not afraid of telling people I don't like their cigars. Talk about, Billy and Gus with our,
You
artisan
were
Del
very
Tobacco.
straight with Billy and Gus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and now Del Pulpo, the fucking lights out. Holy shit. But so that's a different story. But up until that point, like that, I was like, I know they're great guys. I know it'll be a great interview, but I was like, how do I have them on when I can't, when I don't want to rant and rave about a cigar, but at the same time, like if I don't like something, like I want to be fair to my guests. If
yep,
that's kind of one of my rules. And like you, Coop, had mixed feelings about Foreign Affair, and there was a size I hadn't tried yet, and it was like I didn't say anything to Frank. Frank had his rep. You haven't been to my house, but it's fucking out here in
yeah,
the middle of the country. He had his rep come all the way out, bring the cigar. Of course, sure enough, it was the Vitola Foreign Affair that I hadn't tried. Lit it up, smoked it with him, and I was like,
Yeah.
all right, okay, here we go. And I really enjoyed that Vitola. And like I said, very specific Vitola
Th-
specific blend for me. And but it's really exciting to see Frank come out with his own brand.
This cigar says this flavor bombs the two words. The other word will say this is a connoisseur cigar, without question. This is a connoisseur cigar. I this is a hard cigar not to like. Is what I'm just gonna. It's just this is such a competitive year for cigars. It's a like I said, there's gonna be cigars that miss. A lot of cigars gonna miss the top five for me. It should have been on the top five. I don't know if this is gonna make it because it's up against some really hard competition. I have to evaluate this tomorrow see if I'm gonna swap something out because the list was due at midnight. So technically, I should have got to this one earlier, but
Here,
you only can
here,
smoke some on.
here's the one question I'm interested to ask Frank about. If you look at it, the two sizes he released are remarkably similar. One's 54 gauge, one's 52 gauge, one's six and a quarter, one's six. Like that's
Yeah,
virtually the same fucking cigar. So I'm interested to hear like what was so different about those blends, what was so
I actually
unique
want to.
about
This
them
is the yeah
that
because I also want a
said,
Toro.
"Hey,
Yeah,
I want to release these two that are very similar in size." So I do want to ask him that. I
yeah,
think that's
I
an
do too,
interesting
and
question.
I want to smoke the Sublime as well, which is the 6.5 by 54. This is the Toro, which is the 6 by 52. Uh, but yeah, it's I know Frank's got background in golf. I wouldn't want to smoke this on the golf course, Frank, just because it's this is a cigar you want to be in the leather chair smoking, and I'm we're doing the show tonight, and I'm just telling you, like you always get a little distracted smoking a cigar on the show, but this is a good cigar. This is a really good cigar.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and take a break here and let's get ready to live the United lifestyle. Launch your palate voyage with United Cigars. You can celebrate over 250 years of excellence with the Red Anchor or experience elegance with La Giana Havana. Rekindle the spirit of 1776 and light up the skies with a firecracker and celebrate 250 years of these United States. Then celebrate honor, pride, and accomplishment with a gold star. Jet set the globe and capture luxury with Atabey, Byron, Alfonso, Bandolero, and now the Nelson line from Select Tobacco. Don't just smoke. Smoke United. United Cigars. Since 1901, United we smoke. Now, Coop, I I took a little bit of I took some I took a little bit of license today because I wanted to focus on a president that we haven't really talked too much about on this show. So he has nothing to do with Louisiana, nothing to do with New Orleans, but there is a Monroe, Louisiana.
Yes,
And I was like, you know what? We're going to talk about James Monroe because we haven't.
we haven't. No, it's a good one.
And he's got some interesting tidbits about him. I've got a series of questions. I went a little bit crazy today just
Okay,
because I haven't really talked about James Monroe, and I think it's really interesting.
he's a very important president in the history of this country, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of
So
our foreign policy is all based on him. Yeah.
exactly. So let's talk about true. Let's kick things off with the true or false question. Okay. James Monroe's family home is a historic landmark. True or false?
True.
It is true. You want to know what's unique about this? It wasn't put on the National Register. Can can you guess what what century?
Oh, I'm gonna say 20th.
It was the 20th. You want to know how
Yeah.
recent this was? 1979.
Okay. Wow.
Coop,
Yeah.
Coop, you were a young man.
I was 12. I was almost 12.
You
Yeah.
you were hitting puberty when James Monroe, arguably like one of our founding fathers, was the home boyhood home was put on the National Registry for landmarks. Can you believe it? 1979. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I want to say I remember something. There was some findings they found. They found some stuff, runes or whatever, that kind of led to that, like
Mhm.
around the land or something like that. I want to remember.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's what kind of came about with it
Yeah.
and everything. But he came from modest beginnings
They
in the
restored it. They restored the whole
they were
thing.
just said, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it came from modest beginnings, like most of our presidents in the early years and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And 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 this is the thing that I'm sad. You know, modest upbringing is going to have a whole new definition for my children, your grandchildren, Coop. Um, if and when you're so fortunate to have them, because like you know you look at today's president. He came from wealth, experienced wealth. His wealth got him, helped get him into the presidency. But even then, like if you go back to even the early 60s with John F. Kennedy, and again, another wealthy family that, pushed him into the White House, was part of the reason why, he became president. And so the whole from modest beginnings to the presidency, I'm sad to say you're probably not going to see it. It's kind of almost like the whole what Major League Baseball has turned into. There's no, rags to riches kind of thing stories anymore. Even with a lot of these kids coming from like the Dominican and other countries outside the United States, they're put into academies and they're working with state-of-the-art equipment and state-of-the-art training and coaching and stuff like that because MLB is invested in these countries, and that's great. Like that's great for the country. That's great for the
Yeah.
the families. Like that's not a knock. I'm certainly not knocking these academies because they're doing a lot for the people, or the communities in these countries. And but that is sad to see that like we're probably not going to see an executive that is like a true rags to riches or modest upbringing to the Oval Office like you saw in
Obama?
those early
Was
years.
Obama would Obama be in that category though?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I think there'll be one that kind of seeps through here and there. Like the
Yeah,
Bush family was wealthy, Clinton, things like
yeah.
that. Like, but like, you know, Ronald Reagan, like he had his Hollywood wealth. Like you just like, Jimmy Carter, Obama, last 50 years, right? Like the ones that you could say, hey,
Yeah,
they came from modest beginnings, right? Like, so
yeah.
I mean, we had a run, man. I mean, like you could
I
say
guess Barack Obama really wasn't rags to riches. Now I'm thinking about it.
the first 18 presidents, all the way up to Ulysses S. Grant, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, for the most part, they were all modest
yeah,
beginnings, right?
yeah. Maybe
I mean,
Biden.
yeah. Well, yes and no. I mean, but it's interesting, right? It's not the
No, Biden was
definitive.
what Biden's father was wealthy. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
it's
Because
it's not the definitive characteristic of what ultimately became the leader of the free world, so to speak. So interesting notion. But let's move on to the next question. This is multiple choice. How old was James Monroe when he started formal schooling? Was he A, 8? Was he B, 11? Or C, 15 years old when he started formal schooling?
I'm gonna say 15.
It's actually 11.
Okay.
Now you think, okay, well, 11-year-old, it's not like he was 15. It's not like he was 18. It's not like he had no formal school or education. But listen, and look, and we're talking about colonial days in America, so it's not like there was a schoolhouse on every corner of every street. There weren't streets. There weren't even roads. You had one school in a county, one room schoolhouses, a teacher who taught everything, who probably wasn't very educated, was probably one of the only literate people in the community that was actually, you know, placed in that role. So, 11 doesn't seem too, when you put that into context, 11 isn't too young, but it's also a lot older than we think about it, right? Um, so, I mean, kudos again to James Monroe for, going from age 11 to, formal education, who ended up having, what we would consider to be a Ivy League education, which is the next question. Where did he study advanced Latin? Was it A, Harvard, B, Yale, or C, the College of William and Mary?
William and Mary.
That is correct. Good job, Coop. Nice.
Well, that's what I kind of guess because that's where the house is.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of like how I did that one.
Yeah. Um, a fantastic school, by the way.
Yeah,
Even back then.
yeah,
Um, and like it's interesting. A lot of while a lot of our founding fathers attended a lot of what we now would consider the most prestigious colleges. Not some of actually did attend the most prestigious colleges in the country. There weren't a lot of colleges, so those were the colleges.
yeah.
But these were still like Harvard, Yale, William and Mary. Like these were still like they were colleges, yes, and they were the only ones around, but they were still prized, primed institutions of learning
I
from their
mean,
very beginnings to now.
yeah, it's the I want to say Harvard and William and Mary are the two oldest. I don't know which one came first. I think it was Harvard,
I think it's Harvard, yeah.
but William and Mary is a 17th century institution.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
here's again, I wouldn't put it like even back then, like studies were hard. Like some of our founding fathers, if you go back and some of the like, the more infamous people in America who attended these schools, some attended at a very young age, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, like, like the standards must have been lower, and they, to an extent they probably were, but at the same time, like a lot of these kids who eventually became great men, and I'm not being sexist, only men really attended college for the most part, you know, they were still incredibly bright, incredibly smart. I think, what's really interesting to me is while there were, many of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, what we consider our founding fathers, what the British would call farmers with pitchforks and ruffians and renegades, these were incredibly smart individuals. And, you know, this is our 250th anniversary coup as a country. And I've been doing a lot, I've been going back and reading a lot about early Americana and some of the individuals, some of the lesser individuals, not necessarily just presidents, but you would consider them lesser individuals. And I mean, they were incredibly smart people. Um, and their vision for not just a country at the time, but going now 250 years into the future and so on, and on and on and on, they had incredible foresight. And, for them to the Revolutionary War wasn't just seeking independence as one nation. It was a seeking an independence of and it eventually became, we had the precursor to the Constitution, which was of course the Articles of Confederation and but the foresight that these men had and put pen to paper on that would eventually, you know, lead to our place in the world today, it is just it's it just history just doesn't do it justice. You just don't
yeah,
really
I agree.
understand.
I
It's
agree. Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy.
yeah,
You know, Especially when you think about what government was at the time. And while, parliamentary systems had been in place, you had of course, King John put in the place of the Magna Carta, but the monarchy was still very much the 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 government du jour of the time. You know, could argue about Napoleon and a couple. There were other revolutions around the world that were taking place, and there was a shift in governmental doctrine across the known world. But no one had ever seen anything like what our forefathers, including James Monroe, put when they put pen to paper, and it's still one of the most unique forms of government that exists today. And you could say, well, a lot of countries have followed suit and they've built on it, and some are great and some are not, and you know, but you know, look, like it or not, and as polarizing as the political landscape is today, we're not going to get into like we never do, but America still stands firm, and it's you know 250 years later, and you know one could argue that the strength of our country in many facets in many ways, but we're still here, and
yeah.
we're still atop the world in many ways and in most ways by all definitions. And
Yeah.
it's incredible that it was all started with these gentlemen, 1776, the Declaration of Independence, which to me is still the finest example of American writing, period.
Yeah. Bear, I was thinking about something actually. You know, I think originally I had in mind we would do some sort of an America 250 show on one of our shows. It's gonna be a little tough to do it this year, but we'll get one in. We may have to do it afterwards this year.
Yeah,
But for folks, Bear, you have a very something more important going on July 4th. So, but we
yeah,
have to. I think we need to do an America 250 show at some point this year. It doesn't have
I
to be
agree.
July 4th, but yeah,
I
how
agree
we don't do one would be missing something. So we have to keep that in mind on the schedule.
for sure.
Yeah.
So last question.
Hmm.
Um, what famous battle did James Monroe play a prominent role in? Was it the Battle of Yorktown, the Battle of Trenton, or the Battle of Fort Ticonderoga?
Well, this one's an easy one for me because I lived a few miles from this one. Is Battle of Trenton.
Yeah.
So yeah, I lived in Lawrenceville, which is it's about 5 miles from Trenton. So that's a very that was the battle. Trenton was on December 26, 1776. That's a for that area, Mercer County, New Jersey, and Bucks County, Pennsylvania. It's a very big deal. So yeah, I did know that one.
So this is the battle. So if you want some
Yeah.
pop reference, people. So everyone is familiar with the infamous portrait of
Yep.
Washington crossing the Delaware. Of course, he was crossing the Delaware on
Yeah.
the night of Christmas Eve
Yep.
to surprise the Hessians. The Hessians
Yep.
were mercenaries that the British brought over
Yep.
to fight the colonists and surprised them and won. And in that portrait, of course, Washington is the prominent figure in that portrait, but there is a young James Monroe that is in the boat with him.
Yep.
Okay. And this was obviously a very infamous battle. Monroe played a very prominent role in it. He was actually promoted post-battle. But what was interesting about this, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about this, was he almost died.
He almost died. Yes.
A severed artery
Yeah.
occurred, was his injury, and he was sidelined for a little over 18 months
Yeah.
recovering from that. And he was to put it in more modern day terms, was assigned desk duty for
Yeah.
much of the war after that. But he came back, served as a soldier in the Revolutionary War, and
Yeah.
under George Washington was a captain under him, and later became president of the United States. So
Yeah, Bear, if you ever get it, I mean, it's probably a long shot this will ever happen, but if you ever can get to take a Christmas trip, I know Trenton probably isn't at the top of the list, but you
yeah,
can certainly. But it's really something special to go see the Christmas things in that area because of this battle and all the stuff that happened. It's so historic there. It puts a whole different spin. It's pretty cool. Even if you don't get there Christmas, you should get there. It's a historic place to go to, for sure. They always reenact the crossing, by the way,
oh
on December 24th, which is really cool. It's a
yeah,
cool. I don't know what they're doing for 250, but I imagine it's gonna be something big because that was
well.
a yeah because that battle was that I believe that was so important that year. So 1776. So
Well,
that's such a
as I like to point out, George Washington had a losing record as general in the Revolutionary War, so it's just really important to point that out.
yeah
And
he did.
this was one of his few wins, so that's very important.
Well, what he did basically is he made life so difficult for the British, though, because they hung in there. George Washington kept coming and coming. We just kept coming, coming. Like we lost a lot of battles in the American Revolution, but ultimately Britain couldn't. Britain just it wasn't worth it anymore for them. Is what happened. Uh,
It was a
and
true war of attrition.
it was a war
Before
of attrition. Yeah, it really was.
before that became a
Yeah,
popular term.
yeah.
So
I mean, we actually, I think there's parts of history that painted like, hey, we the underdogs beat the. We really didn't. However, we made life so difficult for them that ultimately they gave it. They gave us our independence.
Um,
Yeah.
and you know, when well, he was never president of the United States, and actually was not excommunicated. That's a really extreme term, but was never given the credit in his time. One of the big catalysts for that misery was the Swamp Fox himself, Mr. Francis Marion. So,
Yes. Yes.
and he wasn't very popular among his comrades,
Yeah.
but he is an American hero and
Yeah.
a big reason why the United States exists today. And at the time, unfortunately, his contemporary um contribution to history is just what he did in the South, Southern colonies to keep the British at bay for a number of years. So we'll honor Francis Marion at some point. But that was our United Cigar Presidential Trivia
That was a good one. That
segment.
was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah.
Don't just smoke, smoke United. United Cigars since 1901. United we smoke. So let's dive back in here, Coop. We've got some more one vibe of New Orleans questions here for us as we kind of dive in here. So let's take another look at this. So we've
Yeah.
talked about the booth that we were glad we hit. Let's go back to booths here for a second at the PCA trade show. Look, we quote unquote missed a lot of booths this year,
Yeah.
and a lot of that was unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your perspective, by design. We took a different
There were
approach
a
this
lot
year
of
to
people we
coverage.
missed that we needed to hit though, and I'm really sorry we didn't.
Yeah.
So that
So
happens. Yeah.
again, but we got to adhere to the rules, Coop. One booth, one booth that you're really mad that we missed.
So I went to the booth though. So I don't, but I'm gonna say this was a miss because I'm so close to this guy year round is JRE and Huso. So there's a lot of people we miss that I'm close with, and I'm really sorry. But I have a very good friendship with Husto. It goes back 10 years, and this is the first time I did not catch him at the booth this year. Um, so it's got to be Jerry, and we always have a sit down with Husto, and we have the chocolates. You don't have the chocolate,
No, you
but
have
we
the
have coffee
chocolates.
or something like that. So we really did miss that this year, and that's the one that Hey, I was in his father's movie, so that's a big miss in my book. He Huso did have some things going on that he needed to leave early, otherwise we would have got to him. So it's JRE and for sure this year.
Awesome. Well, for me, it was this.
I bet I know which one you're picking. But go ahead.
Well, for me, in a lot of ways, I think, if you look at from a lot of different perspectives, this particular manufacturer and brand owner is probably having arguably his best year already in the very young year. And he's putting out some incredible cigars and some really interesting projects. And he's always been kind of a staple of our coverage, and we missed him, unfortunately. And he's always busy, so that never helps.
Yeah,
And every time we went by the booth, sure enough, he was busy. But you know, I think Omar DeFrias of Fratello
that
Cigars
was
would
the
be.
other one. And Omar sent me a very nice email back when I did email him. I forgot to forward you that email, by the way, but I will do that still. Um, but yeah, that was a big miss. And this is not an indictment that we don't believe in you, Omar. It's look what I said to Omar. We have to do better. This is on us. We have to do better as a team. You should not have been. And there's a lot of people I said that to, and there's probably people I still need to say that to. But yeah, that was the one I was thinking.
I
There's
think
a third. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the one for sure. That was
I
the other one.
think yeah, I think
And he
Omar's
was
having
busy. And he was busy. We
yeah,
did go there a few times, so it's not like we didn't.
I think Omar's having arguably his best year ever.
He's having his best year. Look, that I keep raving about the 1821 with you guys, and I'm like, you guys need to smoke that cigar. Uh, I think I've been a big fan of the Oral Queen, Connecticut. I think he really has come into his own with that one. Very unique Connecticut. So, yeah, that was a bit. The Nero was really good too. So we missed a big one this year, and I'm really sorry anyone we missed. Really, we do take that seriously. We are going to try to make sure we correct some things. Um, and anyone who kind of there were people who did reach out to me, and I fell on our sword with that. I didn't make excuses that we were down to two guys, but I said, look, bottom line is we need to do better. So we're going to do better.
Yeah.
It was the first year we changed up a lot of stuff. So
Yeah. So that was the one booth for me.
that was I agree with you on that one too.
So,
And he's been
um,
very good to us, Omar, and our team over the years. So
absolutely.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And there's a lot of people who've been good to us that we did miss. So
So, we're gonna we're gonna talk about I don't know, where are you at in your cigar?
I'm about at the midway point. This thing's ramping up in strength, which I didn't expect that to happen. This is not a negative on the cigar. I like that's ramped up a bit in strength. It's like definitely in the medium to full now for sure.
Yeah.
Started
I'm
medium, yeah, really good.
I'm
Still flavor bomb, not losing anything.
I'm getting into the last third of this perfecto, and it's ramping up as well, actually.
That
Uh,
cigar does ramp up. Even the Corona Gorda, I was very surprised how that cigar ramped up. It really does ramp up in strength, and I'm sure you're getting the concentrated flavors too. So that's I'm sure playing a role with that.
I won't say crescendo of flavor, but typically this is about the point in most figurados where it gets pretty hot.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it finishes off and everything. But so
Is it getting
far,
hot? I found it did get slightly hot at the end, which is why I went with the Corona Gorda ahead of that, but not a negative. It's still an excellent cigar.
we'll see how it finishes up for sure. Um, so let's go to the one cigar. Speaking of cigars, the one cigar you're glad you smoked at the show.
The Perdomo, the father and son.
Legacy father and son.
Listen, that cigar was so different than Legacy, and it was so good. Um, and I know you guys got some samples of some of the blends too. Um, listen, if I came out of that show and didn't smoke that cigar, I was missing something. So I've got to put that one on there. Wow, that cigar was incredible.
What was unique about it?
The what it was is it was. I think it's that shape that really delivers the flavor. And it's like exactly what they advertise, that concentrated flavor you get in there. What I liked about it is look, the Legacy Shade Grown was my cigar of the year. It's definitely it's got that citric sweetness to it, and this one was dialed back more with that citric sweetness. The primings were a little lower, but I found actually it created a more balanced and more complex cigar for sure. So there's a lot going on, and for me to say a cigar is complex on the show floor is very, very unique because most of the time you're distracted. I smoked that thing down to the nub, by the way, after the boost. So that
Hmm.
was a great. Yeah, it was. I would have missed something on that if I didn't smoke that.
Well, it sounds like you kind of answered the question, Cooper. One of my questions, because I've really been enjoying the Grand Bellicoso of the Legacy, the original.
Yes,
But one of the questions I had coming into this trade show and kind of going forward, is the idea now that with the unfortunate passing of Sarah Gonzalez, who was renowned for
yeah,
her rolling and construction of their non-traditional sizes, specifically their figurados, their
yep.
torpedoes, things like that. With her gone now, you know, I'm not surprised.
But
And
she laid the infrastructure for
right,
them, the
right,
factory to
exactly.
do that. Yeah, so
That's
I'm not.
exact. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not surprised that it's the still, but that was one of my
she.
questions,
I think she
was
was already semi-retired at that point too.
well, according to Nick, if I remember the story correctly, she
Yeah,
retired a number of years ago, but still showed up to work every
right.
day.
I saw her at the factory when I was down there in 2020, and I think she was already kind of like just showing up at the factory at that point. I could be wrong, but yeah, her influence that was a big loss for the Perdomos.
Yeah, it was really, really
They had
quite
a rough they
sad.
had a rough year. They had several deaths in their company, which that's a shame.
You know, and it's always great how the stat goes up every year. You know, how the average employee has been with their company,
Yeah.
so long, decades now.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they're going into, they're coming into their 35th year, and it's remarkable what the foundation that they laid, and what their company's kept intact all these years. And
Yeah.
that's proof is in the pudding with their cigars. They're if not the most consistent, they're one of the most consistent cigars on the market today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's no surprise.
Yep.
And I'm really excited that you got to try that Cigar Coop. It was really, for me,
Yeah.
that was kind of there's a number that was kind of if you could say, like, I was experiencing it, by proxy with you,
Yeah.
because you smoked it at the booth. But it was a touching moment for me,
Yeah.
um, for a number of reasons. First of all, I love the relationship between Nick and his son, Nicholas III, and um, I love what Nicholas III is doing with the company. Um, but the name father and son really, really, strikes a personal
Yeah.
chord with me, as I
Yep.
know it does with you. And so for me, that was a really beautiful moment, because, um, with the you and I losing our fathers in recent
Yep.
years, it's it becomes even more. I think every passing moment becomes even more impactful.
Yeah.
You've got sons, I've got sons. I know you have a daughter as well.
Yep.
So I don't don't want to leave your daughter out
No,
of
no.
this conversation, but I,
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I
my
know.
fourth son, Alex, who's my fourth son, he's my husband. And he is my fourth son. So, yeah.
So I think, that moment for me had a lot more meaning than just a cigar.
Yeah.
And so I was thrilled for you that they handed it to you. I was thrilled for you that you got to light it up
I'm told you
and
guys got
experience it.
some too to get. Yeah.
Hmm.
It was, I was down in the Perdomo office on March 13th. That's the day the legend, my dad, passed away. So it was the anniversary of his death. And I was in the Perdomo offices, and it was a very healing moment for me because I was really down in the dumps that day. It was a tough day for me. And I saw, obviously Nick, his father, and I saw the Perdomo grandchildren there. And it was a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah.
It was absolutely a beautiful thing, and it was a healing moment. Then it was my dad's birthday on April 16th, and you guys kind of helped heal me that day when we all kind of got, because that took a lot away from that day as well, distracting me. So yeah, it was a tough. I had a couple of tough moments this year with that. So uh, there, we actually did and I'm going to tell you this for the first time on the air. We recorded our dedication show on Jukebox, and there's something for your dad on there, and I'll send you the clip. So which was that Monday, and I forgot to send you that. So there's something I did for your dad on that one, even though I
Thank you.
never met him. So yeah, I dedicated something for him. Yeah.
Man, he would have loved you, Coop.
No, yeah,
You know, one of the things, that one of the things that I love about our friendship, and one of the things that I just is probably one of the, I guess you could call it, marquee um characteristics of you, Coop, that remind remind me of my dad, but also just kind of like where you would have fit in with our
yeah,
family in so many ways, is your thirst for knowledge and your eidetic memory you have about certain things. My we joke around about how you don't watch film, but other than that, like, we can talk, you can talk music, you can talk sports, you can talk cigars, you can talk a number of topics off the top of your head. And I compare it to, there's another individual that's kind of infamous, and that's kind of famous, and I would love to meet him one day, but I would have loved to have my dad to have met him, and that's Mel Kiper, this draft guru for the NFL.
nice guy by the way. I've met Mel Kiper. He's a
So,
nice guy.
so the joke is, and I loved
Yeah,
Mike Greenberg of Mike and Mike infamy. Uh, was always in awe of Mel Kiper on draft day, because he said, this guy. He's got no notes in front of him. He sits at the desk. He's got a Diet Coke, and he's just fucking rattling off the most obscure stats, reference points, skill sets, like anything you name it about these draft. We're like 5 rounds deep, and he's talking like he's known these kids for his entire life, their entire lives, and it's just unbelievable to see.
Yeah,
And Coop, that's one thing that, like I said, that's one thing that I love about you so much is that there are so many topics that you can contribute to a conversation. A true Renaissance man. And my dad was the same way. I used to joke he was an analog player in a digital world.
that's a good point. Yeah, no, I'm kind of
And
the same way in a lot of ways.
yeah, but not you've kind of embraced technology a lot. There's a couple of things that I still take credit for introducing you to Apple Pay.
Oh my
Um
God, you changed my life with it.
in the Apple Wallet. But other than that,
You set up my Apple Wallet for me. Yeah,
but I think it's so cool that we can have conversations about the most obscure shit. Kentucky
yeah,
Derby, for example. And you're sitting there talking about telling the story about your dad in Seattle Slew, and then you rattle off these, different races that you watched like in the 80s and 70s and stuff like that. And it's just
yeah,
there's not a lot of people that can do it these days because so people are so relied on information at their fingertips, and that's it's part of the world we're a part of now. Uh,
yeah.
but
No, I
there
appreciate that.
but there was a time, there was a time not too long ago that people like us, my dad, you, Mel Kiper, individuals like that, where we or the information's all up here. It's all in this
Uh,
this metal cage we call a head.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, Mel is a really nice guy. We saw him doing his ESPN show on a Saturday before an Orioles game we went down. We were staying, he was doing it. And Mel is a very personable guy, very personable with my kids. He knows sports. He was not talking football that day. He was talking Orioles. He was talking I think it was actually there was some hockey playoff stuff going on. It was like a May thing, and so yeah, he's very he's not he's a lot like you, Bear, because he could kind of when he needs to do the criticism, he'll lay it down. He's unapologetic about it, but he's got a human side to him. And a brief meeting with Mel, I became a fan of his after that.
it's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool. Cool story.
yeah.
All right. So to kind of jump back in here, um, we talked about the one cigar that you were glad to smoke. The one cigar that I was really glad to smoke, was, and this was a fun experience, because to be honest, it wasn't even on my radar necessarily, which is ironic when you think about the company that I'm about to mention. It's I've always said that it's my favorite company. It's my favorite cigars overall. When you think about it, La Flor Dominicana and the Carbon Flower
That was
re
another one. Yeah, I'm gonna buy that
was
cigar. Let me tell you.
such a unique experience.
Yeah, Jay,
And
take my money when those come in.
San Andres on top of San Andres, and as we were kind of joking around about it, but while the blend doesn't necessarily have, it's not terribly interesting. The cigar was definitely,
It was so un LaFleur, but it was so LaFleur, if that makes sense.
yeah. And we
It
had
may be
such
Tony's best blend. Yeah,
we had such a great time with Lito Jr., Eddie, and Tony.
I know. Lito will get into your interview. I know if you're listening, for sure. So he wants to see that interview. I said we were so far behind on stuff. So, but yeah, it was really good. We had a great conversation with Lito Jr. He was a little late coming to the booth. And he actually texted me, and I'm like, yeah, it's all good. He made time for us, and he makes time. They make time for us every year. We usually take the same slot every year with them, so the day two one. So I have to carbon fiber,
Carbon Flower.
carbon flower. I keep calling carbon fiber because carbon fiber is the other thing. But yeah, it's a special cigar. I hope it's not one and done. I really hope that's not a one and done. It's too good to be a one and done.
Yeah,
It's too good. I mean, I would. They should absolutely do stuff with that, and yeah, I think it's a great blend.
sure.
Yeah,
So
what a
I
job Tony did. Yeah,
so I stepped on this next question earlier when I was talking about the moment that we had at Perdomo. For me, this was the moment I'll never forget, was when I got to see you present the awards but also to smoke father and son with the father and son. And to me, that was the moment that I'll never forget.
If my
We
dad could have seen that moment, that's the one thing I regretted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll turn it to you, Coop. Is that the moment you'll never forget, or what's the moment you'll never forget from this year's trade show?
I would say that would probably be it, but I'm gonna give you another one just because I the other one was presenting the award to AJ. AJ doesn't do a lot of interviews at the show.
No.
And he was very gracious. And his daughter was translating, but AJ's always been good to me. Over the year, they've been so that was a special moment to give him two awards because, again, the father son moment. Not taking anything away, it was great. Yeah, but look at what AJ went through in the last year,
Yeah.
and to present him that award was very special. And I know he was grateful for those two awards actually he got.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
know in the past those awards are up in the factory, so um, I know that if you go into like AJ's the compound where the house is, there's a beautiful picture they made of the write up I did. So it's very special to see that
Oh, that's
because he's
cool.
got Person of the Year 3 times. He's gotten it 3 times. He got it twice with the coalition and once when it was just solo me. So yeah,
The I think that was a really beautiful moment too because his daughter at first was starting off camera and kind of translating between the both, and it was one of those unspoken moments
yeah.
between two people. I've never met his daughter before,
I had never
and
either. That's the first time I met her. She's very nice. Yeah,
and she's translating off camera, and then it gets to the point where this is like the third or fourth question that you ask him, or moment that you exchange that you've had with him, and he looks off camera at her again, and I just look at her, she looks at me, and she was holding a couple of items, like a couple of phones and a camera, and
yeah,
I held out my hand and I took them, and I ushered her onto camera so that she could be a part of that moment,
yeah. That was really good. I remember that. Yeah,
which I think was a very special moment
yeah,
for him as well.
yeah.
And
Uh,
he's a very proud father. If while we don't share a language, what's really what he does share online, you would think what guy who eats, breathes, and loves tobacco as much as AJ Fernandez, you'd think that that would dominate his profile, and there certainly is stuff. There certainly is cigar stuff and his share of cigar stuff, but there's a lot of moments of how proud of a father he is,
yeah,
and um, that's again, that's the human side of this industry that I love so much. And you can tell, there's a lot of proud parents in this industry, there's a lot of beautiful families in this industry, which makes it one of the things I love so much about it.
yeah,
But you can always tell, I guess the good ones, so to speak, but
yeah,
it's very apparent with him.
yeah.
And, and, it's not just fodder, you
No,
know. Um, being a father's probably, I don't know AJ very well at all, but being a father's probably
yeah,
his most precious title that he has. And he's
yeah,
won a number of accolades outside of the coalition, all of them deserved. He works
yeah.
incredibly hard.
Absolutely.
He makes some incredible cigars, not just for himself, but for a lot of other people.
Yeah, he
And
had a number two cigar of the year too with me this year for Nick Malillo.
mhm,
So
the Night Commander, for
Night
sure.
Commander, yeah. So that's coming out of his factory. They had a big year. They had a big because that and yeah. So that was Nick and Nick kind of went one Nick. Two Nicks and Nick. So
Yeah. Um, did anything surprise you about these two moments that we were talking about? Did anything really surprise you that you didn't expect kind of going into it?
um, you go back to the Perdomo moment. I was surprised how much time they gave us, considering how busy they were. We literally pulled them out of meetings. I think they were meeting with other people, and they came and did that, and we didn't get rushed. And not that I'm surprised, but still they didn't have to do that.
Mhm.
So, for the number one award, Nicholas made sure that, his father was up there with that. So, which, and I think Nick made sure his son um, accolades too. So,
That
but I
yeah,
was
that
standing in between them. I was standing in between them, and it was really a moment that, like I said, wow, it
yeah,
was a
when
wow moment for me.
for sure. When we talked about Tim about the father and son project, it was just Nicholas the third. And you know, and look, the one thing Nick's a very proud man and
Yeah.
should be for everything that he's done and contributed to this industry. Um, and what was very noticeable to me, and Nick's never been a spotlight seeker. He's not that guy.
No, he's not
Like,
that guy. No, not
but
at all.
he takes the credit where credit's earned, and again, and it's earned. Believe me, when I say that. And um, but he was very, very gracious in the way that that moment to him was Nicholas's, and he let
Yeah,
Nicholas have that.
and
And
Nicholas did a lot. I mean, that was Nicholas's project. It really was. It wasn't just they said it was his project. We went and had a deep dive with him on primetime like last July, and it was a very deep dive, and he knows every aspect of that cigar. And but he was talking about how he wanted his father to blend the shade grown father and son because he hadn't done that yet.
mm,
And it was a very unselfish move to do that, and like I said, that was, and I looked at that, I'm like, that's a big thing. He said, I want, now he said, Dad, you need to do something with this
mhm.
because, I did this and he said, now it's your turn. And he did not disappoint.
And we've talked about obviously his Nicholas's mother and Nick's wife Janine and what the role that she's played in the company, and
Sure.
she
Yeah.
was there as well as Arthur Kemper, who's family anyway. But
Yeah.
the newest addition to the company, which man, what a stellar land for the company, and what a great
Yeah. I
place
know
for
you.
him to land.
Yeah.
Michael Giannini, seeing Michael in that booth and being a part of that company is just
What a great, and he fits in well with them too. You would think maybe it's a little bit of an odd duck, but no, he fits in well. I was in the office with them also a month earlier, and I see, yeah, I'm really glad to see him there. And it's great to see Michael there, and really, that's a good phase for his career right now.
for sure.
We have a lot of respect for him. Yeah.
And they were all in their Sunday best, of course, and of course Michael never disappoints when it comes to dress.
No,
Uh,
Michael had some really cool shoes in the office. I wish I could, but yeah, he had some awesome shoes that day. Uh, and,
nice.
Michael was a guy. He was the first guy for him and Matt Booth at that 2010 show, and Andre were the three that I will always remember the show. We actually ran into Andre. Um, and I told, were you there when I told Andre the story? I said, because the question came
Yeah,
up when we did that show, what was the cigar? What was the cigar, that you remember? And I said, that's Satori, that first Satori. And it was great to see Andre, by the way. I miss Andre, and we're going to get Andre on a show at some point. So,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, great guy. Yep.
That was a cool moment as well.
Yeah.
Well, Coop, I'm really excited about Tuesday as we recap the entire PCA trade show. This was the one vibe show. We took one hit on every question, and
Yep.
this was a fantastic conversation. Never disappoints as always. And of course, we've got our fun segments to conclude our show.
Yep. Oh, that's
Um,
it? There's no more one more? Or?
no, there's no more one mores. Yeah, I
Oh, wow. Okay.
wanted to keep it short and sweet, and of course, we're already hitting the 11:30 or 2 hour mark as we kind of go into it. So, I'm probably not going to hit that deadline. I apologize, but I promise you, I'm getting off of air when we conclude the show, and I'm going straight to my
Yeah.
office, and you will get them emailed to you right away.
Well,
So,
can I ask you one question?
sure, please.
Okay. One moment off the trade show floor this year.
Um, we had a number of them, in my opinion,
Yeah.
but I I'm really glad. I'm really glad. You know, in years past, we've done it once before. But I'm really glad that we set out to do it and we did it. And we had two recap shows this year,
Yeah,
during the trade show. And technology aside, with the mics and everything like that,
we're working
they
on that. Yeah,
I thought those were I I I to me those were the moments. There was a number of moments, but to me those were the definitive uh videos that we put up that really said, like, we were hell bent on going into the show with a different approach, a different mindset, and I think we delivered. But to me, like, in the moment, right, when especially after we did our first recap, and like we weren't exhausted, you know,
we were
we
not
weren't,
exhausted. Well,
and
I think yeah,
there was like energy. Like, I think the first time we ever did the post game recap, back in Vegas, that one year. Um,
remember when Nielsen fell asleep? He was so tired,
yeah.
and that was his
Um,
first show, I believe.
yeah. I think that no, it was the second.
It
But
was he was exhausted. Because we worked our ass off that day, and we did it from the kitchen table. I remember.
yeah, and I there was such a difference between then and then, but it was
You're right. That was 22. Yeah, that was the 22.
to me it was really the definitive moment for me in the moment that we were doing exactly what we were said we were going to do. And that was very fulfilling for me because, you know, you go into the show with a plan and it almost never happens the way it's supposed to.
Yeah,
And it hasn't ever really. Um, and this we were very very diligent and hell bent on going into the show with a different approach and made sure and we executed on it. And
yeah,
to me, those were in the moment, those were the definitive moments to kind of illustrate and define that. And it was really great to just kind of sit back, recap those days with you guys and smoke a cigar. And again, a lot of this has to do with the quality of cigars that we saw this year, which will be illustrated with the top five article that we
yeah.
keep alluding to. But man, I just enjoyed cigar smoking for the first time in a long time at the trade show,
We
more so
did.
than ever.
We really did. My
So
moment was that second night, the second recap show, where we smoked the Calabra. The Calabra. We broke
yeah,
apart the Calabras. We had two Calabras, and there's a Calabra strand for Ben and Aaron, which I have to get to them. But yeah, that was, and Dennis came up with that concoction that night.
yeah, preparing,
Uh,
yeah, it was cool.
yeah. So that was that. That was the one. I think that was a bit. That was the one I had. We I thought that was a really good moment we had. It kind of brought everything together because we had the pairing guys. We had us. So Dennis just kind of whimmed that, and we had a lot of. I think it was a great. We had, and the DP guys were coming over a little later. Um, and that kind of what we had after that, we had the synergy of the where DP's kind of our sister. They have their deal, but it was kind of the one we had some time for a while with them, which was great. So we had basically the only person missing was Seth, from their team, and we had two missing, but it was still a really cool moment. And then Jay was coming over, and I knew Jay wasn't going to eat that night. so
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. So yeah, that was I agree. It was those moment that backyard moment for sure, which was great. Um, so I did enjoy that a lot. And that's going to be part of what we do now going forward for sure.
the this is how hard Coop's working, by the way. I want everyone to know this, that even while we're doing this show, 1 minute ago, I just got tagged in the posts on social media for some of our PCA trade show coverage. So
Well, that's an
just
earlier peg. I didn't do anything during the show. So yeah, that's an earlier one you probably just didn't see because I haven't done it yet. So we have been. I think there's something. If we had to say something we're going to improve, I have some ideas what we could do for social media next year. Uh, because we were just basically we didn't do as much social media from the floor this year, and that was just the product of being down two people. So
Yeah, for sure.
I may have a solution for us for that, which we'll talk about offline. But yeah,
Okay. So let's conclude the evening with our fun segments. This next segment is brought to you by Artista Cigars, which is truly the last hidden gem of the Dominican Republic. With nearly 70 years of rolling cigars, the family behind Artista believes in honoring their long held traditions of handmade artistry. Artista's blends include factory exclusive tobaccos and front marks for every budget. In fact, Artista has one of the most varied portfolios on the market today. There's something for everybody at Artista. Now, if you're like me and you can never decide what to smoke, Artista Cigars is truly a breath of fresh air because I know I can take something from any box that Artista has to offer, and I know I'm going to get something truly special. So this is our this or that segment, Coop, as you're familiar with, and
yep.
so I decided to really go. We're kind of keeping it related, but kind of not. We're getting a little funny with some of this stuff. So let's talk cigars for a second. Would you rather smoke only infused cigars for a year, or only smoke what one would consider yard gars forever?
Oh, oh, it's got to be infused. I'm not a big Yard Gar fan guy, and I've had some really. There are some good infused cigars out there.
Which what this is a question that I don't think you get asked very often, Coop, and we
Yeah,
probably don't talk about it because we don't talk about non-traditional cigars very often. What's your one of your go-to non-traditional cigars that you like to smoke?
I'd say it's Toscano. I'd say it's definitely the Toscanos, for sure. The flavored Toscanellas.
The
Toscanellas.
Toscanelos, yeah.
Yeah.
Toscanelos are fantastic.
Where I will pick them up, I will smoke them. I've had the grappa one, which is even pretty interesting to smoke. Obviously, we talked about the limoncello, but some of the cafe cigars, and all that. It's yeah, I would say Toscanello.
Awesome.
There's
Uh,
something unique about those. Yeah,
I am a big fan of the acid toast and their
I was
tea
good. That's a good. They're a little sweet for me to toast, so I don't go to it that often. But it's a good cigar.
and their TA offering the Big Bang is actually my favorite.
The Extraordinary Larry is pretty good too.
Mm,
And surprisingly, that has a little floral piece to it, but I do like it.
nice.
But I would say Toscanello is the one I go back to.
Yeah,
That's the one I tend to go back to.
nice. All right. Would you rather be, let's talk about trade show floor. Would you rather be stuck in a booth in tight quarters with no airflow or outside in 100-degree weather with 100% humidity?
So that question, if you asked me that question 10 years ago, it would have been the tight quarters one. But given some of the problems I've had health wise, I am very, very cautious about tight quarters. So there's no question I'll take it and go out in the heat.
Wow.
Because tight quarters are not. I am immunocompromised, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and I have to live with that the rest of my life. So I don't want to get sepsis again.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Let's talk accessories for a second. Okay.
big year for accessories by the way on Coop this year with traffic. I'll get into that. Yeah,
Would you rather have your favorite lighter forever or your favorite cutter forever?
my favorite lighter forever
Okay.
because I just think igniting the cigar. I could probably get away even if I didn't have a cutter, right? There's ways you can cut a cigar. Um, and I can always, but having the right lighter, I've learned is such a key thing. You need to use the best, igniting a cigar is so important, but you can find other ways to cut the cigar. And I just know that at some point the blades are gonna go, right?
Yeah.
So the lighter you can always get, you can always get that kind of service and stuff and keep it. Like I just got my mini jet Davidoff lighter, DuPont redone. because I didn't want to live without that. That's a great lighter.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. You are the food guy, Coop, so we got to talk about food for a second. So
Yep.
again, this is at PCA exclusively. Would you rather only eat gas station or fast food or only $100 steak dinners?
Only $100 steak dinners
I was surprised. I thought you would have gone with the fast food.
because I can get the fast. There's something about a good steak dinner. That just. I didn't have any steak in New Orleans, surprisingly, but yeah, we've had some
Yeah,
good ones in Vegas, though.
this is the first year, this is the second year rather, excuse me. This is the second year in a row that we did not have a steak dinner, which I did not miss it. I'll be honest with you.
I think we're talking
Uh,
about bringing it back for Vegas next year, though.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, kind of like when in Rome, kind of
yeah,
thing. So,
yeah.
all right. So again, back to the trade show floor. Would you rather lose your palate for an entire day or your voice for an entire day?
My voice. Use your palate. That would just ruin everything. I've controlled that both, but in the end, I think I'd rather lose the voice.
All right. Well, that was our Artista this or that segment for tonight. And so this next, this
Hey, can I
one,
make a comment beforehand?
please.
This Araparaca doesn't suck. I'm smoking the appointment. Holy cow! I'm like shocked.
That's why I wanted you to smoke it,
Yeah,
man. I
yeah.
wanted to
So
get your take on it.
it's really good. So we'll keep going with that. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
All right. Well, let's go into the asylum moment for tonight. This next segment is brought to you by Asylum Cigars. Refuge is more than just a physical place. It can be a state of mind. Some of life's greatest reflections can be found in our own personal asylum. Moments like these were made for Asylum Cigars, so light up an asylum and choose your refuge. Now, this is a different take on this segment, Coop, because you've done this a number of times. So I
Yeah,
wanted to do a little something different. And it's kind of built off of that Satori question a little bit, but it's even a different offshoot of that.
yeah.
This does not have to be PCA trade show related.
Hmm.
Who is the most important? And so this is subjective, right? But who is the most important person you've ever shared a cigar with?
Mike Piazza in New York.
I don't think I know this story. You got it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
shit, unpack this, man. I don't think I know this story.
I thought I told you this. Yeah, I gave
No.
Mike Pravada our Liga Pravada #9. This is like 2000. So this was right before. Yeah, it was right around right before the whole the whole list was coming out. I ran into Mike Piazza at a place called Florio's, and I spent an hour talking to him, and I gave him a
Son
Liga
of a
9,
bitch. What
and
did he think of it?
he loved it. I
Oh,
gave him the
wow.
cigar. He wanted to, yeah. So, and he talked. I mean, I remember the big thing in that conversation. He went off on Art Howe. Oh my God, he went off on Art Howe. All that stuff all that stuff in Moneyball was true. It's like basically said.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
Mike Piazza is one of the nicest, down to earth guy. We were in. So there's a place in New York I used to smoke at called Florio's. And it was an Italian restaurant, and it was one of the last strongholds of where you could smoke before finally the city completely shut the smoking down, and they had to move a lounge upstairs. But I did smoke with Mike Piazza. Without question, that is the most important one.
Oh, wow.
I'm not even a Met fan, but he's a Philly guy on top of that. Yeah, I did smoke with Mike Piazza. I thought I told you that, sir. Yeah.
I've never heard this story.
How did I not tell you? Yeah, it's
I
Mike
can't
Piazza.
believe it. Yeah. Where, so not being a Met fan, why was it so important to you?
Well, so this was. I'm going to tell you the whole story with this. The Mitchell report came out in December of 2007. Long story short, I had my mom had knee replacement surgery that year, right in December, and she was in the hospital, and I had gone. I'd take some time away from the hospital. I went down to Florio's in Little Italy, and I happened to run into him, and that's what happened with that. I didn't expect. He apparently, and this was like the Mitchell report came out mid-December. I want to say this was less than a week beforehand. It was after my birthday. So the Mitchell report was about to come out with this.
Yeah.
So it was. I didn't even talk Mitchell report with him, by the way. I didn't want. And I don't think he was on the Mitchell report, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he got named
Is
on it.
Yeah, I think like the only mentioning that he had was just like suspected use because of back knee, that whole thing and stuff like that. But
But
he was not on he was not a listed player, but he was mentioned in the comprehensive report.
so think about it. Mike Piazza is one of the greatest catchers of all time. You could make an argument Mount Rushmore catchers.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a
easily.
guy who is a Hall of Fame, a first ballot Hall of Fame guy. I mean, you look at this guy. Even though he was played for the Mets, you love the guy. You rooted for the guy, and Mike Piazza, to me, like I said, he grew up. I said to him, I wish you would have played for the Phillies. Is what I kept saying. And things didn't work out like that for him, unfortunately, with that. But yeah, I don't remember the year he got into the Hall of Fame though. I don't remember if he was in the Hall of Fame or not that year. Um,
Did you ever talk about his the trade from the Dodgers? Like
no,
that whole
we didn't talk
Oh,
about
okay.
that. But you
I was
remember that was
wondering.
a weird trade, right? You
Yeah,
remember he actually got traded to the Marlins for a few games because they
yeah.
couldn't get the deal worked out, and he wanted. I know he wanted out of L.A. So I did not talk to him about that.
Yeah, and then they flipped him to New York after that. So
Yeah, you know,
that was the whole fire sale year. That was
yeah,
crazy.
we did talk about he got drafted the year. I think he got drafted the year the Dodgers won, so
Hmm.
the World Series in '88. But
Yeah.
Mike was a Phillies fan. He grew up a Phillies fan. He was absolutely a Mike Schmidt fan. So it was a big deal, you know. So we talked a lot about that. You know, you wanted to know how a New York guy became a Phillies fan, you know, stuff like that. It
Oh,
was
that's
that
cool.
type of a conversation. I told him, you know, hey, it just worked out when I moved to Staten Island. It was easier to get to the Phillies games, and the Phillies became my team. I used to be able to get the games on the radio in Staten Island at night because the signal was strong enough to get that, and that's really how it all started. And you know that 80 series with the Astros, and so yeah, that's how so it was a very interesting conversation we had with that. But he was a big Phillies fan growing up.
That's crazy.
And he said, you know, sometimes it just, you know, the way things work out, you know, he did want to go to the Mets very badly. But he hated Art Howe. Oh my God, he hated Art Howe.
That's hilarious.
He liked Bobby. He liked Bobby. I hate to say it. He liked Bobby.
Of course he did. Well, that
uh,
was Bobby's best years was when he was managing the Mets, so that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Uh,
That's crazy.
you know, and yeah. So it was the yeah, it was a great conversation. I had about an hour with him, and I said giving him a Liga Privada was really cool. They had just come out those Liga Privadas.
Nice.
Yeah, it just come out.
Wow. Man, that's so cool. I never knew that story. Unbelievable. You
Yeah,
learn something new every day.
yeah.
All right. Well, this next segment
I may
is
be getting the dates wrong. I may be getting the dates wrong. I keep getting the dates wrong, but yeah, that was
he might have still been playing in '07. I'm not
the,
sure.
the Liga Privada just came out. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, the Liga Privada. No, it was definitely 2007 because it was getting the Mitchell report. So yeah, it was. It just come out. Yeah, and actually I was someone gifted me those Liga Privadas.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, because they come out. They just came out that year. So I don't even know if they were on the shelf at that point. But I had some from basically someone I knew who got them from the trade show.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
All right. So, this next segment is Everybody Eats, which is brought to you by Pastani Cigars. If you always make sure that your servant's towel is bigger than your appetite, everybody will always get theirs. Pastani Cigars is more than just great cigars made by cool people. They embody an attitude of gratitude and grit. And with Pastania, everybody eats. So, Coop, what do we got to talk about? We've got to talk about gumbo, right?
yeah.
Got to talk about gumbo. It's your thing. It's part of every meal in New Orleans for you and everything like that. So I want to kick things off with a trivia question for you. You know, you're a connoisseur of enjoying gumbo, but are you a connoisseur of what gumbo is? So true or false, gumbo always has tomatoes in it.
False.
That is correct.
Yes. Ben taught
So,
me that.
yeah. So there's Creole style gumbo, which
Yep.
traditionally has tomatoes in it, and there's
Yep.
Cajun style gumbo, which
Yep.
traditionally does not. And um, now I don't know. Have you had both styles of gumbo?
I have
Okay. What's your preference?
Cajun.
Okay.
Yeah.
So without.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, interesting. All right. So, now when your gumbo, there could be many different types of proteins in gumbo. Sometimes there's all types of proteins in gumbos. There's gumbo that's made with a seafood. Obviously you get you've got your shrimps, you've got, sometimes there's crawfish, sometimes there's additional other seafoods in there. And then there's non-seafood gumbo, which is made with chicken and sausage, for example.
Yeah.
Sometimes they mix the two. So what's your preference? What do you like in your gumbo?
Well, that angel sausage, it's hard to knock. I think it's a must for me.
So you like a combination of some kind.
I like the combination, but the sausage has to be in there
The
to
sausage.
me. Yeah. I can live without chicken. The seafood, you can plug in different seafoods in there. The crab or the shrimp. Even the oysters are good in there too. And I'm not a big cooked oyster guy, but uh, yeah, yeah. To
No,
me, it comes down to the broth with the gumbo all the
that's
time.
what I was just about to say. You're a big broth person, and
Yeah,
I think I've asked this before. I'm positive I asked it, but I want to get your take again on this. You're a big soup guy.
I love soup. My
You
wife's a
know,
big soup maker too. She hasn't been able to tackle gumbo, but yeah,
what got you into soup? Like, where did this start? Did this start as a childhood thing, and it's just kind of grown
yeah,
up with you? Okay,
yeah, yeah. My mom would make a lot of soup, amazing soup she'd make. And it was even cool. We used to have back Lipton Cuppa soup was even like a great thing. But Lipton Cuppa soup chicken noodle with the thin noodles was really good.
it's funny. Was
So,
so
but it's always about the broth. It's always
right.
about the broth.
Was this so? I know I know you're half Jewish, and so that's a prominent dish. Soup is a prominent dish, and
Matzo ball is a big, yeah,
yeah.
matzo ball chicken, which is
So
chicken broth. It's really good.
yeah, particularly the broth is was that part of your childhood, or was it like you said, like the cup of chicken soup or anything like that? Was that what was the staple in the Cooper household? What was the soup that was always on hand traditionally?
Wow, that's a good one. That was a good one. My mom would make a mushroom barley soup, which was amazing.
Okay,
So I would say
interesting.
that one. Yeah. Oh,
Is there any?
the turkey soup after the turkey soup she made after Thanksgiving was
Oh,
amazing.
there you go.
Yeah,
Now we're talking.
that's a staple every year. Yeah, and we've still carried that over here.
Awesome.
You get the broth is so key with a turkey soup. It's hard to get a good turkey soup broth. You really gotta. You probably know that better than anyone, but
Is that why you like ramen and pho so much? Is just
yeah.
because
Oh yeah.
the broth part of it and everything?
Yeah.
God,
Oh
broths
yeah.
are so flavorful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's a chicken pho place near me where I get the chicken pho. Their broth is just amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah, and chicken pho is the hardest one, I think. The seafood one's the other one that's hard, but they don't really do it well here. But the chicken pho they do really good.
I still gotta take when next time you're here. There's the place back in Euless where I lived for a number of years, and
Yeah,
the Noodle House. Their shrimp curry pho is just unfucking real. It's unreal how good that fucking pho is. It's so fantastic. Holy cow. Unbelievable.
we used to have the Soup Man restaurants down here, and I think a lot of them went out of business. They had like lobster bisque and jambalayas. They were really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, Coop, we have hit it. It is the last question of the evening. Here we go.
Wow. This is
So this is the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust curveball segment. Fastballs or curveballs, it doesn't matter since the company's inception. Mr. Steve Sock has been knocking them out of the park. Count them up, guys. It's been 11 consecutive years in the consensus top three. Congratulations to our good friend, Mr. Steve
he
Saka.
he will win the consensus this year.
Will he make it number 12? That's the point.
He will win it this year. I'm telling you, Jubilee's going to win it this year. If he wants Jubilee, it's going to win.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
that's my prediction. But we'll see how the end of the year goes if he sends those out.
Now, I've done a number of these curveball questions for you over the years, Coop, and we've touched on early Coop history. You were a cycling fanatic, still are,
Yep.
right? But this was one thing that you actually, in like cigars, you participated in.
Yeah.
You were an avid cycler for a number of years, and I know that you know, health took was a big contributor to why you didn't keep up the hobby and everything like
Yep.
that. But I know you were really big into it. So
Yeah.
let me ask this: barring health, and we'll throw age in there too, even though I don't like saying you're old because you're not. But barring health and age, how far do you think if obviously health is the biggest contributor to this question, but like how far do you think you could have gone cycling? How big were you really into it? Like where could we have
I
gone
was
semi-pro, pro? Like what?
maybe the best would have been semi-pro.
Okay.
I could time trial pretty well. I could do a time trial pretty well. I was not a great climber, uh, but I could time trial pretty well. But I was more endurance. I was very good with I could go a long distance. That was like, I could go 50 miles with no
Oh wow.
problem.
Oh wow.
Not that I have, yeah, I did 36 miles in the New York City bike tour. And New York City would go through the five boroughs, right? The last part of it was the Verrazano Bridge to go to Staten Island, and it was one of the steepest climbs it was as steep as any mountain. Um, but yeah, I don't think I could have. Um, it's, I think sprinting was not my thing, right? So you have to be able to those flat sprint races, you have to be able to do well in them, right? And that was not my thing. So I was
So
more of like a touring cyclist.
gotcha. So
Yeah.
when it comes to cycling, like if you look back to it, like, do you think your success in it, let's just call it that, your
Yeah.
success in cycling, was it more, do you think you just had a natural talent for it, or was it a work ethic that you did, what you put into it?
It really started that like I rode my bike everywhere. Uh I'd
Hmm.
ride my bike to work as a teenager. I didn't ride to school because there was no place to put it, but I rode my bike everywhere. When I started driving, that changed everything, right? I stopped doing that, right? So that played a big role in that. But I would definitely bike everywhere. I had always had really good bicycles too. Um, my Panasonic bicycle is the one I love the best. Panasonic used to make some amazing bicycles, and like I said, it was so I was able, like I said, endurance was that's why I was able to build up such endurance where I was able to do a 36-mile bike tour and be pretty like not finish last is what I'm saying. There were guys who would burn out, with that, and I had no problem. I burnt out on the Verrazano Bridge every year with that bike race though because it was so steep and I wasn't a great climb. I could climb, but that was tough, right? I did bike in Muir Woods in California
Oh wow.
once. That was brutal. That's all I'll just say. So I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I don't think I would have been able to get to a level of competing in a tour because, like I said, the sprinting piece was just, and that's a physically hard piece to do, and I was always a little intimidated by the sprinters because they could be very rough. So, and there's crowds and stuff with bikes, so that was why I don't think I wouldn't be able to go very far.
Any regrets?
Yeah, I think I do regret that I didn't. I don't know if like I said, I think I should have stuck with it. Not necessarily. I don't regret not going into a competitive thing, but I regret I didn't stick with it. It got very hard. I moved out of New York City and country roads where I was. It was very hard to do bicycling because when I was living in Orange County, New York, it was very hard to do that. Dangerous, it's just there's no bike lanes or anything like that. So it
Nice.
got harder. It got harder to store bicycles because I was living in apartments for a while. So yeah, I do regret that I didn't stick with it longer.
Gotcha. What do you think is translated the most from, you becoming, such an affluent member of the cigar media um, s- brotherhood, whatever you want to call it, um, what do you think is translated the most from your cycling career to the way that you cover cigars?
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? That's a really good question because you got to remember when I was cycling in the 80s, cycling, the coverage it got on the news, right? There was a little paragraph in the New York Times on the Tour de France. And there was a once a week anthology show CBS would do. It was like their equivalent of Wide World of Sports, where you got highlights of the race, right? And so it was very much a small community at the time. So you think about that when you go into cigars, it's the same thing, small community, right? So it translates extremely. It's changed now because now cycling is a lot bigger since Armstrong, Lamont, and stuff like that have come. So it's changed a lot. But I think it's that like it was very much a small community. Like there was like to talk about Greg LeMond in '86 winning the first tour. It was hard to find someone. So you had to find like a community. And at the time, I'll tell you what it was. It was the old bulletin boards and the Prodigy boards where I kind of really connected with people. And you think about that with cigars, we were a very small community. We still are. It's a niche community. So it kind of was a good translation if you think about it.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. It
Awesome.
I soured on cycling after Armstrong for a while. I did. Now, the other thing that really affected my cycling was IPCBR and PCBA because for a long time I missed a lot of Tour de France coverage because when it did get on TV, it's July. So coming out of the Armstrong thing, and then I missed like a lot of those cigars and a lot of those tours in the 2010s. A lot of that. So that was kind of disappointing. When the show moved to early July, it became easier to watch it, which was good.
Nice.
Well, it used to be a mid-July show, so I'd miss a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, Coop, that was our curveball segment. And that was the last question for the evening. Thank you so much. Great
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
Great one vibe of New Orleans PCA. Great stuff.
This appointment is really good. For Brazilian, what they did with this is great. This is a really good hour Paraca. There's none of that like harshness or sharpness with this. And
No,
it's a nice big ring gauge. I'm really pleasantly surprised. I may like this better than the original appointment, which was very
wow.
good.
Yeah. I'm smoking the Zeno Honduras, and Tom wasn't lying. It is definitely stronger than the Zeno Nicaraguan by quite a large margin.
Yeah.
Um,
You look at what like, something we should talk about. Like Davidoff made a move into Honduras. A lot more with the Avo obviously being made there now. Zeno Davidoff's making a play in Honduras right now, which is kind of quiet. And I just wonder if we will see a Davidoff white label Honduras. I don't think we will, but we may see Honduran tobacco in it. Is what I'm saying.
yeah.
I don't think they'll ever because they won't make Davidoff in Honduras. But can we start to see a Honduran more Honduran tobaccos in the Davidoffs? That's kind of what I'm wondering right now because
Yeah.
they're making a big push with this.
We'll cover this on Tuesday, but I think one of the themes of the show too is just the expansion beyond the norm, of what we know of the cigar industry. Just a lot of changes are coming.
Yeah,
A lot
I
of
mean, we'll
changes.
talk a lot about Drew and stuff like that, which
Sure.
was a big story this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
want to steal for Tuesday, but yeah, that was a huge. I don't think people realize how big a story that is.
are we still going at 8:15 Central, 9:15
Yeah,
Eastern?
now we got to just hope Tripp's okay. That's the one. I'll ping him to make sure. So for folks listening, if Tripp's not ready to go, we're gonna postpone the show. I mean, I'll tell you that. So
Gotcha.
because we can't do that show without Tripp.
Yeah. So that will be the next thing that you'll see from our PCA coverage, along
Yeah.
with all of our
Well, I
coverage
think
on.
we'll do something Tuesday no matter what. But yeah, we'll figure something out if we don't.
Check out all of Cigar Coop's social media outlets. That's your Facebook, that's your Instagram, that's YouTube, Rumble, etc. For all the amazing video coverage that we put together this year. Some great shorts, some a little bit of in-depth here and there.
Yeah.
And if we're a go on Tuesday, you'll have a full recap breakdown of the PCA trade show experience from the Cigar Coop Coalition's eyes. So you won't want to miss that. If it is a go, it'll be at 9:15 Eastern, 8:15 Central.
Yeah.
You definitely don't want to miss that. So tune in live on Facebook and
Yeah.
catch us wherever you listen to podcasts and wherever you watch videos. Our video broadcast here on Ellis Fumar Takes is always brought to you by Foundation Cigar Company, our good friends at Foundation Cigars. And of course, master blender and owner and proprietor Nick Malolo. He began his career at the age of 18 in the cigar industry, working at his local cigar shop in Connecticut, the Calabash shop in his home state. He went on to work for a well-known cigar company, Drew Estate. You've probably heard of it, where actually he developed some of the company's most popular blends. In 2015, just 11 years ago, he started Foundation Cigar Company to create unique and flavorful cigars that appeal to everyone, from the novice to the most experienced smoker. Our video broadcast is always courtesy of Foundation Cigars here on Facebook Live almost every Sunday night, 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. Or you can check us out on our YouTube channel, ELOSOFUMAR. Don't forget to hit the bell so you get the notifications of when those go live. And also, our audio broadcast is always courtesy of our good friends at Gran Habano Cigars. Honest, compassionate, great cigars. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review today. Available on all podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Be sure you download, subscribe, and review. As I remind you, we do appreciate those reviews. They are constructive. They are important. Look, we love 5-star reviews just as much as the next person. But listen, if you're going to give me that 1-star review, you've got to be constructive. You've got to tell me where I suck at. To the gentleman who told me that my audio levels are terrible, hopefully you're still listening, and hopefully you can hear me now. But to the guy who gave me a 1-star review and left it blank, as I tell you every week, fuck you. I've got nothing for you. So, do better. We're trying to do better. Look, we've only done 361 of these. We're only getting better from here, right?
Yeah.
So this was our 361st take. I'm Bear Duplessis, live from the Alec Bradley Lone Star Studio of Azle, Texas. He's Will Cooper, head of the Cigar Coop Coalition. And of course, check out all of the PCA trade show coverage of the Cigar Coop Coalition at cigar-coop.com. That's cigar-coop.com. Check it out today. You won't want to miss it. I promise you. Guess what, everybody? We'll see you next time.